Good evening. The notice of this meeting stating the date, place, and time has been disseminated as required under the Open Public Meeting Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975. This meeting is called to order. Mr. Clerk, prayer and flag salute.
God of the universe, look thou with favor upon these here assembled, and bestow thy guidance upon the members of the governing body in their deliberations. This we ask in thy name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. In the event of emergency, the proper method of exiting the council chambers is through the three rear doors in the rear of the room. Occupants should proceed down the stairs. Once outside the door, move away from the area of the front steps. Any member of the public wishing to speak during the public comments at the end of the meeting, please sign in the sheets provided in the front of the room. Thank you. Also, please turn off all cell phones or place them on vibrate. If you must make a call, please leave the chambers. Mr. Clerk, call the roll.
Mr. Purcell. Here. Frazier.
Here?
Yemekaitis.
Here.
Sheehy.
Here.
Zadowski.
Here.
Cosby Hurling.
Here.
Armstead.
Here.
Brown. Koziel. Here. Colibus.
Here.
Mr. Moore.
Here. Tonight, we've been working on the video portion of the meetings since last month. We had problems with the DVD playing. It was a technical difficulty. The volume wasn't up. It was at a -19. It should be a +5. We had technicians come in several times this month. We did several sound checks. We worked out a lot of problems. And I've been told, absolutely, that we have sound coming to the people at home, and it will also be on the DVD, I can assure you. And for the technician downstairs, I apologize that the presets are opposite. We vote from 10 to 1. I ask for approval of the minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I move approval of the minutes of the reorganization meeting of January 4th, and I ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Purcell.
Yes.
Frazier.
Yes.
Yemekaitis.
Yes.
Sheehy.
Yes.
Zadowski.
Yes.
Cosby Hurling.
Yes.
Armstead.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Koziel.
Yes.
Colibus.
Yes.
Mr. Moore.
Yes. Ordinance on hearing. This date and time established for the public hearing for the ordinance on hearing, ordinance number 5510.
An ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 7, Traffic, Section 7-22.1, four-way stop intersection, shall be amended as follows. Section 7-22.1, four-way stop intersections. Add Lincoln Street and Middlesex Street. Stop signs to be located at Lincoln Street at Middlesex and Middlesex Street at Lincoln Street.
Has the ordinance been properly published and posted?
Yes, sir.
Is there any written communication been received?
No, sir.
Is anyone that wishes to be heard on this ordinance? Please come up. Motion, please.
Yes, Mr. President. Just going to comment briefly on this particular ordinance as it does affect my ward. It's been a policy of the city over the last couple of years to try to break the flow of traffic and to deter speeding motorists in various areas. One of the areas in question has been Lincoln Street, where you have a thoroughfare that goes from Elizabeth Avenue all the way to St. George Avenue. We have a couple of more streets in the Fourth Ward, McCandless, Bauer, and Carnegie, where traffic goes from Elizabeth Avenue all the way to St. George. So in an effort to try to break the flow of traffic, we petitioned the police department to conduct a study, and they did so, and they decided to place a four-way stop at Lincoln and Middlesex Street. So I'm going to move that the hearing be closed and the ordinance adopted and request a second.
Second.
Mr. Purcell.
Yes.
Frazier.
Yes.
Yemakaitis.
Yes.
Sheehy.
Yes.
Sadowski.
Yes.
Cosby Hurling.
Yes.
Armstead.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Koziel.
Yes.
Colibus.
Yes.
Mr. Moore.
Yes. This is the date and time established for the public hearing for ordinance on the reading, ordinance number 5511.
An ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 7, Traffic, 7-33, handicap parking regulations shall be amended as follows. Add 933 Baldwin, delete 1017 Lincoln Street, 401 West Linden Avenue, 115 Livingston Road, 419 Luddigan Place, 19 East Stimson Avenue.
Has the ordinance been properly published and posted?
Yes, sir.
Has there been any written communication received?
No, sir.
Is there anyone who wishes to be heard on the ordinance? Motion, please.
Yes, Mr. President, I move that the hearing be closed and ordinance 5511 be adopted and request a second.
Second.
Mr. Purcell.
Yes.
Frazier.
Yes.
Yemakaitis.
Yes.
Sheehy.
Yes.
Sadowski.
Yes.
Cosby Hurling.
Yes.
Armstead.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Koziel.
Yes.
Colibus.
Yes.
Mr. Moore.
Yes. This is the date and time established for the public hearing for ordinance on hearing, ordinance number 5512.
Bond ordinance restating bond ordinance 5461, which bond ordinance provided for an appropriation of $1 million for closure of the Linden sanitary landfill for and by the city of Linden in the county of Union, New Jersey, and authorizing the issuance of $950,000 in bonds or notes of the city for financing part of the appropriations.
Is there anybody who wishes to be heard on the ordinance? Has there been any written communication?
No, sir. And it's
Any-
been probably posted and published.
Any written communication?
No, sir.
Anyone in the audience wishes to speak on this? Motion, please.
Mr. President, I'll request that the hearing be closed at this particular point and that the ordinance be adopted and therefore not only be adopted but approved. Ordinance 55-112, and I seek a second.
Second.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Purcell.
Yes.
Frazier.
Yes.
Yemakaitis.
Yes.
Sheehy.
Yes.
Sadowski.
Yes.
Cosby Hurling.
Yes.
Armstead.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Koziel.
Yes.
Colibus.
Yes.
Mr. Moore.
Yes. Communications on the consent agenda. All items listed with an asterisk. Apologize. This is the date and time established for the public hearing for ordinance on hearing, ordinance number 5513.
An ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 2, Administration, Section 2-46.2, as follows. Delete 2-46.2, Judge of the Municipal Court, powers and duties, it's in its entirety. Add new Section 2-46.2, Judge of the Municipal Court, powers and duties.
Has the ordinance been properly published and posted?
Yes, sir.
Has any written communication been received?
No, sir.
Does anybody wishes to be heard on the ordinance?
Jimmy. It's coming off.
We pulled it.
Motion to continue?
Yes, Mr. President, I'm going to make a motion to continue this ordinance until next month.
Public hearing.
We're going to continue the hearing and the ordinance and have a public hearing next month on this particular ordinance. We're
Second.
going to continue this until next month. Yes.
Second.
And I need a second on that.
Second.
Mr. Purcell.
Yes.
Frazier,
Yes.
Yemakaitis.
Yes.
Sheehy.
Yes.
Sadowski.
Yes.
Cosby Hurling.
Yes.
Armstead.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Koziel.
Yes.
Colobus.
Yes.
Mr. Moore.
Yes. This is the date and time established for a public hearing for ordinance on hearing, ordinance number 5514.
An ordinance to amend and supplement an ordinance establishing a schedule of titles, salary ranges, and regulations for maintaining the classification and salary standardization plan of all employees of the City of Linden, amending and modifying the above-titled ordinance by Schedule 4-FF-1.
Has the ordinance been properly published and posted?
Yes, sir.
Any written communication?
No, sir.
Motion to continue?
Yes, Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to continue this ordinance for next month and request a second.
Second.
Mr. Purcell.
Yes.
Frazier.
Yes.
Yemakaitis.
Yes.
Sheehy.
Yes.
Sadowski.
Yes.
Cosby Hurling.
Yes.
Armstead.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Koziel.
Yes.
Colobus.
Yes.
Mr. Moore.
Yes. We're going to move on to the consent agenda. Any items listed with the asterisk are considered to be routine by the City Council and be enacted in one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items unless the council members or citizens so request, in which the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. Items 1 through 6. Anyone wish to remove an item on the consent agenda? Center? Pattern on number 1. In the center? To my left? Remove it. Yes, Patty Hill. Would you please?
Pat Hero, Wheat Chief Road. Well, you say that these are a matter of routine. I'm looking at these refund, 6 different refunds. And we're talking a considerable amount of reducing the assessments and having to refund a considerable amount of money to the various people who have won their tax court appeals. And my concern is how many more appeals do we have out there of people trying to get their properties reduced, their assessments reduced, and how much are we going to be on the line for this if the tax court goes along with them as they have, at least in these cases? How many cases are there out there like this?
We have the tax assessor here.
No, he's not here, Council President.
Could you get Mrs. Hero the answer for that, Mayor?
Yes, I will.
Thank you.
Thank you. Motion?
Yes, Mr. President, I move for approval of items 1 through 7 on the consent agenda and request a second.
Second.
Mr. Purcell.
Yes.
Frazier.
Yes.
Yemakaitis.
Yes.
Sheehy.
Yes.
Sadowski.
Yes.
Cosby Hurling.
Yes.
Armstead.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Koziel.
Yes.
Colobus.
Yes.
Mr. Moore.
Yes. Committee reports, Mr. Purcell?
Thank you, Council President. I'll make it short. I'd like to apologize to the seniors in town for a flyer that was going out that was pulled recently for the senior bus going to ShopRite and Clark. For the senior bus that was going to ShopRite and Clark, we had no knowledge of that was going to happen. If we did, we would have had that under discussion, but before it was put in place, it was pulled. And I do apologize to the seniors on that one. it would have hurt these stores. If you weren't going to bring anybody to the shop right in Linden, it was going to hurt the other stores that they go to the shop. So hopefully this wouldn't happen in the future. Another thing, I'd like to thank everyone who came to the town hall meeting, the first ever in Linden. You know, the budget committee put that together, and I'd like the defunct budget committee put that together, and I'd like to thank them for doing this, and I'd like to thank all the residents that came in and gave us, excuse me, input on how to reduce the city's budget. With the budget committee, as everybody knows, it's not in existence anymore. We had numerous meetings, many phone conversations. My wife thought I was married to the two councilmen. We're on the phone so much, trying to reduce the budget because we're really broke, and I don't know which direction the city's going in. But we were working hard, and hopefully we're still going to be working hard, because we're still going to go forward, and we're still going to sit down with department heads, and we're going to do our own thing and find cuts in the city. End the report, Council President.
Thank you. And those cuts that you found will be referred to the Finance and Personnel Committee.
Hold on one second. I forgot to put one thing. Oh, okay. I have one other. Okay. I'd like to introduce that was introduced on 10/19/10. It's a policy on crash reporting procedures for city employees. This is where we don't have nothing in place for, only the police department and the fire department have it, but we put in place a policy where if you're in a crash, you have to fill out the right paperwork. It has to be inputted in the computer system. We did a database on it so we could track it and hold those individuals accountable for using city vehicles. So that's going to be in place, and I'd like to make a motion and have a second.
Second.
Question? Is there urine testing policy involved with that?
This is separate.
Thank you.
Second.
Motion.
Mr. Frischel.
Yes.
Frazier.
Yes.
Yamakaitis.
Yes.
Sheehy.
Yes.
Sadowski.
Yes.
Cosby Hurling.
Yes.
Armstead.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Koziel.
Yes.
Golubus.
Yes.
Mr. Moore.
Yes. Mr. Frazier?
Thank you, Mr. President. My report is as follows. As the chairperson for our landfill, which is down on Lower Road, just wanted to report something that we've been waiting for quite a while is finally up and running. That happens to be the flare. There's a flare at the landfill. What the flare is it's a ignition of the methane gas that is presently at the landfill. Last year, we spent considerable sums as directed by the Department of Environmental Protection to pipe all the methane. Methane is a gas that originates from garbage, and particularly at the landfill. It's 60-plus years of garbage there, and this methane has been eroding through the top of the landfill. So finally, under the direction of the DEP, we have now a flare. You can't see the flare. It's unlike what you would see at ConocoPhillips. It's not a large protruding flash or anything like that. It's a containerized flare. It's all done via computer. If it should shut down, it goes to a certain phone, and that particular phone is picked up by one of the responsible supervisors and so forth. So with purpose basically is to burn off the amount of methane. We're not going to burn all of the methane. Our goal, quite frankly, is right now to get some requests from various vendors in purchasing this methane from us, either converting it to electricity or using it as a gas for another type of facility. So we're on that route right now. In addition to that, the landfill adjoins and is part of the what is known as the Hawkeye Sanctuary. That's an environmental sanctuary, believe it or not, which is located in our back here. our backyard. It consists of, and I've said this many times, believe it or not, there are 14 deer down there right now. From where we sit, approximately 4 miles from here, we have a deer population within the city of Linden. We have red-tailed fox, red-tailed hawks, numerous wild turkeys, and so forth. And they, along with many other animals and waterfowl and inhabitants of this Hawk Rise walkway. At the same time, too, we did receive monies to install a walkway there, and the walkway has been approved. It will be installed as soon as weather permits us. The walkway will be opportunity for anyone who is environmentally conscious or who is just wants to know what the other side of Linden looks like. They can use this facility, walk around it without any, hopefully without any problems. Okay, I don't think the wild turkey would bother you if you don't bother them. But it's going to be something very, very nice. We're going to open it up to our whole school system, perhaps to other school systems in the nearby facility. We will be the only urban landfill, urban walkway within the whole area. No other facility in this county or any counties could match us, believe me. Today, the Audubon Society was here. They did a walkthrough on the this walkway, which is still not yet completely confirmed, but they too had indicated that it's a magnificent facility. And they found certain things like turtles there, and you know, turtles that they say that are perhaps 100 years old that they found. So this is going to be something great for our young people. They don't have to go up to Sussex County or any other county to do some exploration. They can do it right in our own backyard. So I'm very, very proud of that. We consider that a gem. That's going to be one of the sanctionized open spaces for the city of Linden. To move on further, I'm also the councilman of the 9th Ward, and like many of the other wards here throughout our city, we've been inundated with potholes, and the potholes are unfortunate situations that occurred during the winter with the rain and the snow and the freezing, the breaking, and so forth. I want to commend our Department of Public Works. They've taken care of a good amount of these walkways. Right now they're using cold patch. Hopefully when the bituminous facilities open up, we can start using hot patch on it. But in the meantime, I also wanted to thank the County of Union because Raritan Road runs through my facility, and they had also had taken care of many of the potholes on Raritan Road. The other item too, I'm also the chairman of the negotiating committee. Quite frankly, you've heard in the past and will continue to hear that we certainly have serious financial situations regarding our city. We don't want to be in the situation that we were last year where we had double-digit deficits, and that once we had to send out the property taxes, quite frankly, they were like ticker shock to a number of you. And I certainly agree to that because I too was one of those recipients, as well as I'm sure all my colleagues here. As a result of that, we're at the point right now we've probably cut as many things as we possibly can cut, expenses and so forth, and it leads us to no alternative but to have impact negotiations with all unions throughout the city. Now, impact negotiations is like the finalization where we come before the union, hopefully, and if we could establish certain concessions that are satisfied as much as possible to both parties. And that's where we are, and we're in the process right now, I believe. Notifications have gone out, so impact negotiations are here. I don't believe they'll be pleasant. It's unfortunate, but we have no further alternatives but to call upon the unions and to call upon them to assist us so that we continue running our town as fiscally stable as possible. With that, Mr. President, that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Frazier. I also attended the breakfast, and the turtle's 100 years old, and here we are, have so many problems, and that little guy's walking around, and I think he's better off than we are. Mrs. Yamakaitis.
Thank you, Mr. President. From the Fire Committee, the Fire Prevention Bureau collected a total of $2,775.85 for the month of February 2011. During the months of January and February, the Linden Fire Department responded to 829 calls for assistance, which included 32 fires and 11 mutual aid calls. I also received a letter from a Linden resident who asked me to share it with the public during the council meeting. It is from a Mr. Armando Canda. It is directed to Chief Rizzo. It was copied to the mayor and several and the council and some members of the fire department. Dear Chief Rizzo, in the early morning hours of Tuesday, January 14, 2011, around 2 a.m., I experienced an intense choking sensation. This was no case of minor indigestion. I recognize this feeling as the early stages of congestive heart failure. I struggled to my kitchen and took my pill, hoping it would relieve my symptoms. Unfortunately, the symptoms worsened, and I came to the realization that I might die on the kitchen floor. I could barely breathe when I picked up my phone. I dialed 911. I dropped the phone due to the pain. I was called back immediately and asked, "Mr. Canda, what is the emergency?" I replied as best I could, and the 911 operator asked if I could please open my door. I told her to hurry. With a great deal of difficulty, I got to my door, opened it, and went over to my staircase to rest. By that time, the lungs were so congested that I felt any breath could be my last one. I was starting to panic. To my surprise, the fire department ambulance had arrived with Tom Angula and Steve Kalesa. Each assisted me immediately as they entered my house. There were policemen that I had seen around town, but I don't remember their names. Everyone began to try to calm me, and Tom Angula was instrumental in controlling my desperation. One of the firefighters made a phone call to my friend so that I could have someone to help me during the night. I now realize how fortunate I was to have firefighters that I knew as well as I knew them. It comforted me that they knew their job so well and they wouldn't let me die. It was a horrifying experience. I've been through it 3 other times, and all of them resulted in my recovery because there was someone from the fire department or police department that I knew. The fact that they knew me as well provided a sense of comfort. To have professional rescue squad like the Linden Fire Ambulance with people that know what they are doing and go the extra mile to save victims is an invaluable asset. As I was agonizing with my problem, thinking for sure that maybe it wouldn't make it out of the ordeal, both Tom and Steve gave me encouraging words that basically told me that my life was not going to be over. The paramedics worked on me, and I was placed in the ambulance by Tom and Steve. I was given a large amount of oxygen, and the trip to Trinitas Hospital was done expertly and efficiently. I was taken out and brought to the trauma center of the hospital. My ordeal at the hospital was long, many tests, blood constantly being taken, and a nuclear stress test that showed a positive and a catheterization test that contradicted the results of the nuclear test. Saturday, January 15th, I was finally released to go home. It was during my stay at the hospital that I realized that having a fire ambulance with permanent adult trained firemen was the factor that saved me and allowed me to write this letter today. I appreciate the police coming and doing their job. I know that the Linden police are truly the finest. I must also praise the firefighters of Linden who are always there to save lives. I feel deeply troubled knowing that there might be plans to reduce the firefighters' force. I sincerely hope that the people of Tremley Point utilize their voices so that their Southwood Avenue station will not be closed. If I had lived there and the ambulance had to come from a distant firehouse, I would not have made it for sure. Consider what I am saying. You cannot tell if maybe one day it might be you or one of your dear family members who might have to be saved by a real Linden firefighter and not a volunteer who comes and goes as is not faithful to his or her job. I thank God for sparing my life and for the fact that the Linden Fire Department has on 4 occasions done an excellent job in rescuing me and saving my life. God bless. Sincerely, Armando Candia, Linden resident. On tonight's Personnel and Finance agenda, we will be voting to bring back one of the firefighters who was laid off recently due to a vacancy caused by retirement. As chairperson of the Fire Committee, I would like to ask all my colleagues on this council to support this rehiring. We had a fire on March 2nd where all of our apparatus was called out at the fire scene. I'm sure many of you are familiar with an article that appeared in the Star-Ledger 2 weeks ago on a Sunday with Springfield Fire Department. Like this gentleman, Mr. Kanda, mentions, do we want to have the fire apparatus show up in front of our houses and have to wait for backup or mutual aid to come? There was a situation on March 2nd where a call came in where there was an accident that they were calling for mutual aid. Thank goodness that they didn't have to extricate the victims. So I ask that my colleagues support the rehiring of this firefighter. For the 8th Ward report, I would like to remind residents that if they see any illegal dumping going on in the ward, please try to get a license plate number. You could call me with any information or the police. All tips will remain confidential. I would like to also commend the Public Works Department for being on top of this and responding consistently when I call. We've had certain problem areas, and like I said, we're going to need some assistance from the public. Please be vigilant, keep your eyes out, and try to notice of any illegal dumping. As Councilman Buchel also mentioned, I'm a member of the Public Property Committee, and I received numerous phone calls from senior citizens regarding the senior bus being rerouted to the Clark ShopRite due to a legal battle the city's involved in. I was never notified of this as a member of the committee, and to my understanding, this council works by committee. It's not up to one individual to make this decision. So I would not support anything that would harm our senior citizens. We're talking budget crisis in the city. That shopping center has other businesses located in there that we would be harming by rerouting a bus. So I would like to assure the seniors in the 8th Ward that I would not support any measure that would harm them or harm the businesses of Linden. That concludes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, has the bus ever been rerouted?
Yes, the bus was never routed to ShopRite in the first place. Once I started realizing that the seniors had some serious concerns about going to ShopRite in Clark, I realized that that may not be the perfect move to make to show the ShopRite and Aviation Plaza our disapproval of their nuisance court tactics that are denying the General Motors property to be developed.
Mr. Sheehy?
Thank you, Council President. I'd like to thank the Channel 36 Committee, Mr. Colibus and Mr. Moore. Mr. Moore has been working on this problem for weeks. This Channel 36 has been a disaster. It's one of the top complaints in this city. And I would like to thank Mr. Moore for grabbing the bull by the horns and getting it done. And I don't see Mr. Goebel here tonight, but Mr. Goebel, they finally painted the wall in the courtroom here. And Council President, I'd rather not go into committee reports.
Yes, sir.
I'm too upset, and I would feel I'd get myself in a lot of trouble. So please excuse me from the report. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Sadowski?
Thank you, Council President. Just a few remarks, and some of them have already been made. Since I'm liaison with the handicap parking spot, I've been getting some requests. Remember, if you want a handicap parking spot, let me know. I will have to send you a booklet. Once you get the booklet, then it's up to you to return it to the traffic division. They make the decisions. I really don't. So I have 3 names. I will be sending those booklets out tomorrow. So if you have any, please give me a call. We already talked about the holes in the street. DPW already has been down, and they're doing a good job as of now. Councilman Sheehy and myself, next week will submit our recommendations for the 9/11 girder, where it will be placed. We will submit it to the council, and the council will vote on it. I've had people come up and give their opinions, and I think the 3 spots that were the most were the library, City Hall here, and across the street. So we will bring that up next meeting. Okay, I've informed the senior citizens that I was put back on the committee as liaison. I'm glad some of them asked me, and like I said, I'm doing the best I can. You can't believe the things they said. First of all, I can't believe the one biggest thing was that bus. I can't believe how many phone calls I got and how many people I saw that they were all upset that they weren't going to shop right over here. And I told them we would try to do the best we can about it, and the mayor did rescind the order, but they were really upset. Around the Stiles Street, Pleasant, Hampton, and Smith Streets, this week and next week, the PSE&G will be moving some of the telephone poles in hope of, enlarging it when they do get the construction up. So if you see anything down there, that's what it is. They are moving the poles. Also, the Verge property in the 6th Ward, according to that, the city has received a favorable judgment concerning the suit. Doesn't mean that we're free and clear, but we are hoping now that we can get people in, to rent that spot. And finally, at the present time, Union County Bureau of Community Planning and Bureau of Transportation is conducting a Route 19 corridor study. That's down by the highway. Route 19 corridor study focuses on vehicular and non-motorized transportation along the route of 1 and 9 corridor through the cities of Elizabeth, Linden, and Rahway. The goals of the study are to further safety along the corridor, reduce delays and traffic conflicts, and balance the transportation demands of the local communities along the highway within this region. The study area consists of an 8-mile section of Route 19 that passes through the cities of Elizabeth, Linden, and Rahway. Route 19 has a history of high crash rates and poor traffic performance with a host of geometric deficiencies, including a lack of a left turn capacity and narrow lanes, narrow or deficient shoulders, and inadequate pedestrian accommodations. Okay, finally, the study's goal is to balance the many functions of the corridor so that local residents, pedestrians, commuters, and industrial operations can coexist safely, and the corridor can support and complement local redevelopment plans. If this finally is developed, it will be a boon, because if you pass by that area, you know with the red lights how long you wait. This concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Stadowski, and thank you for taking that senior citizen chairmanship. And we also made another personnel change. Mr. Frazier went on to the Revenue Enhancement Redevelopment. Councilwoman Cosby Hurley.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, everyone. I'm excited to announce that the City of Linden will be going into a partnership with Communities in Cooperation. They're going to give us for free computers that we're going to use at our Linden Multipurpose Center, which right now has obsolete equipment. So everybody wants computers, and we found a way to get those computers. And I'm excited to announce that we're preparing an agreement with Communities in Cooperation. And they have their own equipment. They're going to pay for internet. And they have their own desks. And they're going to also provide other community activities in that room that they're going to have at the John Street Center. For the residents of the 5th Ward, we're having a safety meeting also at the 5th Ward Community Center, which is 1025 John Street. That's going to be Tuesday, March the 22nd at 6:30 p.m. So if you have concerns about crime, home safety, you can come talk to the police department, talk to our neighborhood block captains who are still working hard for us. And that's going to be Tuesday, 6:30, the 22nd. I also contacted the Union County SLAP program, and I'm waiting for someone to contact me back regarding the cleanup of the railroad. This affects the 5th Ward as well as the 8th Ward, so it's going to go in the 4th Ward. 4th Ward as well. It goes on both sides of the railroad tracks. They've done it in the past. So we're just trying to, since the snow's melting, all the trash is clearly visible, get it cleaned up. And this will be at no cost to the city. If anyone sees illegal signs posted, I know that we all saw Nicki Minaj plastered all over the city of Linden. Any signs for home cleanup, selling gold, or anything like that, you can contact the construction department, and they will remove the signs and, try and issue summonses. We've done summonses already, but these signs are illegal. Nobody can post anything on the public poles of any nature. So construction code can be contacted for removal and summons. The number is 908-474-8462. Okay. I'm pleased to announce that the first of 7 grants that I asked to have written was submitted today. This grant is for chronic disease education, and it's going to be for 6 weeks workshops. It's going to educate people who might have a chronic disease. If you have diabetes, if you have high blood pressure, if you have high cholesterol, or obesity. So this is the first of 7 grants that I requested, and it was submitted today. So training is going to take place in June, and I'm looking forward to having everybody come out. We'll use 2 public facilities, 8th Ward and 5th Ward, and we'll have the training there. So you'll get more information, and we're hoping to get approved. It's a $10,000 grant. If you want your children to register for day camps, please contact the Recreation Department. We're working on the summer food program. If your child currently qualifies for free or reduced lunch, they will qualify for the lunch program. In other counties, they do this every year. It's an annual federal program. And we're having our members of Recreation go to training so they can understand the process. They would be entitled to lunch and snack, and it wouldn't cost the parents anything additional to the cost of the camps. So Recreation is 908-474-8600, and payment plans are available for summer camp. I attended the New Jersey League of Municipalities training recently, and our labor specialist has agreed to work with me on items that we can add to our policy manual that can increase our productivity. One such policy is going to be social media and blogging. A lot of people are rumored to blog, use the forum, use their Facebook during business hours. So we're going to set a policy in place so that we can increase the productivity for those people who have access to the internet at their workspace. On April the 16th, because the meeting is going to be before this event, I'm going to announce that we're having an Easter egg hunt activity on April 16th at 11 a.m. on Dill Avenue at IOC Park. And my next office hours will be March the 25th at the Multipurpose Center. You can reach me on the email at rcosbyhurling, no dashes, at linden-nj.org, or my telephone number is 908-477-4120. Happy St. Patrick's Day, everyone. And that ends my report.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Armstead.
Yes, Mr. President, I have the following reports. the following license permits and transcripts issued in the city clerk's office during the month of February 2011 and fees received have been turned over to the treasurer's office in the city of Linden. There were 135 birth, death, and marriage transcripts where the city received $1,950. There were 17 marriage licenses where the city received $51, and there was $425 in state revenue. There was 6 miscellaneous revenue items for $32.25. There were 5 bingo raffles for $830. There was 169 EDRS vital statistics where the city received $2,670, and an interest that went to the city clerk's account was $16 for a total of $5,958.41. I'm also going to go through the Personnel and Finance Committee report, but prior to that, I just want to preface that report with some information I think will be helpful to the public. We have a particular item on the agenda where we speak of a rehiring of a certain firefighter. His name is Joe Stanley. Joe Stanley is on this agenda because we had a fireman in town who was courageous enough to sacrifice for one of his brothers that he can come back. That firefighter was Joe Sheehy. Joe Sheehy did a very commendable thing. He handed his retirement papers in so that one of his brothers could come back to work. That's huge. That's a big thing. And we need more of that in the city of Linden. Everybody knows we're in a financial crisis, no question about that. But the fact that Joe Sheehy did this, I think, is big because he's leading by example. He's leading by example. And we need more people who are qualified, who are eligible for retirement, to step up so that we can help reduce the taxes in this town and perhaps save some of the younger men and women who are starting to work for the city, who are just starting out with their careers. Again, I want to commend him on that. But I'm going to go ahead and ask for approval for the following personnel and finance actions. In the Department of Fire, the clarification of permanent appointment of Joseph Rizzo as fire chief, which was effective October 22nd, 2009, per the regulations of the Civil Service Commission. Item number 2, approve the waiver and voluntary reduction of salary to $4,300 of Dr. Alan Goldstein, MD, for the calendar year 2011. And again, that's a voluntary reduction for Dr. Goldstein. Number 3, in the Department of Finance, approved the layoff of Andrew Salmon effective March 4th, 2011, an acknowledgement that Mr. Salmon accepts the layoff. Item number 4, in the Office of Tax Collector, approved the layoff of Barbara Favor effective March 4th, 2011, which has been approved by the Civil Service Commission. In the Mayor's Office, the change in termination date to March 7, 2011 for Patricia Howe, confidential secretary to the Mayor. Item number 6, the paid FMLA leave of absence for Jerry Kowalik from February 14, 2011 to February 25, 2011, and an additional unpaid FMLA from February 28, 2011 to March 14, 2011. Number 7, the paid FMLA leave of absence for Andrew Zach from February 2, 2011 to February 22, 2011, and additional unpaid FMLA from February 23, 2011 to April 18, 2011. Item number 8, the unpaid FMLA leave of absence for David Colonna from February 28, 2011 to March 31, 2011. Item number 9, which I spoke on previously, the rehiring of Joseph Stanley as firefighter at the salary of $61,213 to replace firefighter Joseph Sheehy effective April 1st, 2011, conditioned upon firefighter Sheehy's retirement. Item number 10, in the Police Department, the promotions of Sergeant Jeffrey Clark, present salary $1,100, to lieutenant at the salary of $103,830, which is an increase of $2,045, which is determined by the LPSOA contract and police officer, by the LPSOA contract, and Police Officer Arian Fernandez, present salary $88,282, to Sergeant at the salary of $94,917, which is an increase of $6,635, which is determined by the LPSOA contract, both effective April 1st, 2011, to fill the vacancies created by the retirement of Lieutenant Lord. The total cost of these three promotions is $8,680. Number 11, personnel required out to carry Department of Public Property and Community Service seasonal programs. The list is on file in the Treasurer's office. Number 12, the payment of bills totaling $1,238,473.80. The bills have been signed by the Mayor, Council President, and Finance Chairman, and a detailed check register and vouchers are on file in the City Clerk's office. Item number 13, we are in receipt of an investments by the City Treasurers for the month of February at a rate of 0.75%. I request approval for the following items and request a second.
Second.
Mr. Purcell.
Yes.
Frazier.
Yes on all.
Yemakaitis.
Yes.
Sheehy.
Yes.
Zadowski.
Yes, except for number 4, I vote no.
Crosby Hurling.
Yes.
Armstead.
Yes.
Brown.
No on 12, yes to everything else.
Koziel.
No on 4, yes on everything else.
Colobus.
Yes.
Mr. Moore.
Yes.
Finally, Mr. President, I'd like to thank all the people from Pop Warner who came out this evening. As you all know, you were called to come to this meeting, okay, because there was some question about your funding, okay? You all know I call you my Pop Warner family, and I want to thank you all for coming out, because like any family, when there's a problem in the family comes together and we stick together and we fight anything that we have to do to overcome those battles and that adversity. You're going to hear later on that your organization is just being questioned, but I want you to understand the money that is appropriated to your organization was under attack. There was someone on this governing body who questioned why we're spending $15,000 to our Pop Warner organization. $15,000 for 300 children from my community, which is not a lot of money. That money is well spent. On any given night during the season, we have 300 kids be it football or cheerleaders at our parks. We know where they're at. We don't have to worry about them getting in trouble on those nights because we have them with us. We know where they're at. This is $15,000 that is well spent. The city used to run this program years and years ago, okay? And it became a very costly proposition to the city. And we have some gentlemen and ladies in our community who volunteer to run this organization, self-included. Self-included. I get up on Sunday mornings, load up my truck, bring over grills and food so that we can have a successful program. Okay? It's a good program. Again, you're going to hear some very lame excuses why it was even being questioned. Okay? But the fact of the matter was, it was being attacked because I'm associated with the program. Okay? Okay. Person raising the questions is my colleague to the left, Councilman Brown. Councilman Brown is going to give you some excuses tonight. He's going to say, no, he wasn't attacking the program. He just wants to do things right. But I can assure you one thing. Councilman Brown looked at Pop Warner because of my association with it. Okay? And again, I want to thank you for coming out because it's a good program. It's a good program. And you should ask Councilman Brown later on this evening when you get a chance, why? Why is he so concerned with $15,000 going to 300 kids from our community? You have the right to ask him that. He's going to give you a watered-down excuse. It's going to be lame. But I can assure you the only reason that he's questioning Pop Warner is because he has a personal problem with me. He does. And I'll tell you where that problem started at. Every year around election time, you get these things in the mail. This is an older one. This one comes from 2007, where we had some candidates who decided to run for the Board of Education. You'll see there's a Dawn Biviano, there's a Peter Brown on this particular ballot. There's a Brian Heisman DeCruz, God rest his soul, Leonard Williams, Susan Hudak, Deborah Smith Bennett, Nick Nigro, and there's a Lisa Ormond. She's currently serving on the Board of Education now. She's my sister, in case anybody wants to know. Okay? And we had a Brian Tomko on this ballot. Okay? Peter Brown never got over the fact that he took a beating in that election. You know what I mean? And since we're talking about children, yes, my sister and those ladies who ran in that election, they spanked him like he was a child. Okay? Yes, it is necessary. It is necessary. It is necessary. It's very necessary. Because you're not going to attack these children. You're not going to stop funding from an organization that's doing so much for our children. So it is necessary. Okay? That concludes my report, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'd like to say in that vein, the council has decided to send it over to the legal department to rectify the indiscretions and mistakes that may have been accumulated throughout the years to maintain the program. Mr. Brown, please.
Thank you, Council President. First, I'd like to say, to piggyback off what Council President Moore said, is he's exactly right. It's being sent back to correct problems from in the past as far as making sure that it's appropriated correctly. First, I want to point out and thank everyone for coming out tonight. The intention was never to cut funding. Again, this is political. It's not political in my sense that I have a personal problem with Derek. What he's not telling you is the whole story. 2007, I ran for the Board of Education. I didn't know he was going to bring this up. Fact of the matter is, I think in 2009 or 2008, Lisa ran for the Board of Education. I gave her my full support. She met over my house numerous times. You know, we had numerous correspondence that I still have. Derek was over my house as well, had dinner. We talked about how we can help support her sister. I offered a walk. Her sister dropped letters over my house. I helped her. And so I want to take this outside the realm of politics. We go back and forth, but the reality is that when it came to the Pop Warner, it wasn't Pop Warner. What we did in the budget committee is go line item by line item. I want to make sure that we're clear as far as it wasn't Pop Warner and it's not personal. I have no personal problem with Derek. I've known Derek over the years, and I can give you many stories as far as my relationship with Derek. But to put politics in this is wrong. I want to say that there have been people from in Pop Warner who've contacted me and saying, Peter, what's going on? Who've asked the questions, and I told them. You can, if the Pop Warner wants me to come, and I told someone today, if they want me to come and explain what's going on, I'm more than happy to. But to go based off of rumors and make it political, in my sense, is wrong. I mean, the children are here today, and I want to thank you guys for coming out today. I mean, it's very important you guys come, listen, see what's going on in government. I wish more young people would get involved. Me, myself, I'm under the age of 30 myself, and I think it's important for you guys to know what's going on in your community and what's going on within the city. So again, I want to say that this wasn't political, as much as Councilman Orm said would like. He knew about this prior to the week, and never once did he come and ask us, well, what's going on here? Let's get this solved. And to prove that, I mean, I had discussions. How can we correct this? And like Councilman Moore said, is that it's being sent to the law department to make sure we do it right. And to go quickly into it, basically what happens is that we have to make sure that we have a contract with the Pop Warner allowing these services. So instead of giving a donation, which you can't by state law, there's a state statute, it's a matter of forming a contract where we either ask Pop Warner to provide this Pop Warner service, or if we purchase equipment and giving it to Pop Warner. And so that's what was actually discussed today. So I just want to clear that up first. So again, it's not political. In regards to the Budget Committee, I want to thank also the residents who came out last week that shared their frustration, shared their ideas. That's very valuable. I hope that we have more meetings like that in the future. One of the things that came out that was very clear is that residents want things done quickly. There's a sense of urgency. They want their money to stop being wasted, and they want us to make sure that we're in here doing our jobs. As Councilman Purcell said, yes, the Budget Committee was disbanded. I have copies of the minutes if people want to see. As far as the minutes that were discussed, nothing in there was political. It was about bringing in revenue to the city, as well as cutting expenses, making government more efficient, whether it's through technology, whether it's through shared service agreements with other municipalities, or whether it's improving the way we do business or the services. You know, one of the things that came up also in that meeting was the anti-nepotism policy. That's something that's always been talked about as far as on this council. People want that. Well, the Budget Committee last week suggested and sent a memo to the Finance and Personnel Committee to develop and draft an anti-nepotism policy. I'm being told that by next council meeting, by April, we should have something in an anti-nepotism policy here in Linden. What else? One of the other issues too that residents were concerned about, and rightfully so, is that salaries. We're talking about salaries of department heads, salaries across the board. One of the salaries that came up was the municipal judge, and I think before I can talk about that, Alan, if you can say it's okay, we could talk about it.
Yes, I spoke to the judge with the city attorney a little before the meeting, a little after the meeting started. He indicated to me that he was waiving his rights and that you can put forth a resolution regarding the topic of the resolution you showed me before the council tonight. He has no objection.
Okay. And so this is a resolution I tried to bring up in our caucus meeting. Unfortunately, we couldn't because it wasn't Rice earlier. However, again, because of the sense of urgency, residents want results now. The Budget Committee went to the judge because I think it was a resident, I remember on this side, suggesting, well, has anyone gone to the judge, asked him to reduce his salary? So we went to the judge, we asked him to reduce his salary. And so basically, he's making $127,000 and he's reducing his salary down to $95,000. So he's going to be the first department head to be under $100,000. He's reducing it by $32,000. So that's a decrease of 25%. And so I have a resolution here that I'd like to read and ask the governing body to help us in saving money and reduce his salary at the request of the judge.
It's not on the agenda.
I'd like to have it moved, Council President.
Call the roll.
I still like it read in and vote.
So
He's got to read it.
If we're saving $30,000, we might as well go for it.
So I'd like to read the resolution. Whereas the City of Linden is undergoing financial constraints which have been addressed by the Budget Committee, and whereas the Honorable Louis M.J. DeLeo, JMC, has written a letter to the City Budget Committee voluntarily requesting a reduction in his gross yearly salary from $127,000 down to $95,000, a decrease in his salary of over 25%. And whereas Honorable Louis M.J. DeLeo, JMC, has also agreed to continue to serve in his capacity as a municipal court judge and as the department head of the municipal court, and to also supervise the additional management requirements for the delegation of the weekly court sessions to the per diem judges as permitted by City Council resolution of this date. Now, whereas it be resolved by the City Council of the City of Linden as follows. The City of Linden gratefully acknowledges the work of the Budget Committee and accepts the offer of Judge DeLeo, JMC, and the yearly salary of the municipal judge is and shall hereby be reduced from $127,000 per year to $95,000 per year, plus all full-time benefits. This resolution shall take effect on April 30th, 2011. I make a motion, ask for a second.
Second.
Questions on the floor from the mayor?
I'd like discussion on this motion.
Go ahead, sir.
Mr. Brown just made a major statement that he doesn't play politics. Well, if this isn't politics, I don't know what is. Last month, I offered to save the city of Linden $78,000 by replacing the judge. The judge is the mayor's appointment. The appointment of Judge DeLeo had run out. I have an attorney who is qualified and willing to become the judge for $75,000 and no benefits. Judge DeLeo's salary was $127,000, 17 in benefits, 14 in pension, for a grand total of $167,000. He gets appointed by me, the mayor. I'm the only one that can appoint a judge. Unfortunately, normal circumstances, it's the governing body who just formality-wise has to approve the judge. And the only reason for formality is the fact to make sure that we have a competent individual being appointed the new judge. And Dan Roberts is an attorney. He's prosecuted cases in municipal courts 800-900 times. He's been an attorney for 20 years. He's qualified and competent to assume that position, and he's willing to work for it for $75,000 and no benefits. But now, all of a sudden, the councilman in the 3rd Ward, Mr. Brown, is coming to the rescue of the taxpayers and saving money by reducing the judge's salary to whatever he said, which is how much, Mr. Brown?
By $32,000.
32. Well, I could reduce it by $78,000. And besides that,
Is that it?
I'm being advised by counsel that I can't even mention newspaper articles that were in the various newspapers about perversion of justices, about the state reducing and throwing out a conviction, but now counsel's telling me I can't do that. This is the ridiculousness of this city and these councilmen who voted last month 6-5 not to save the city taxpayers $78,000, and now all of a sudden, Mr. Brown is grandstanding, and he's going to save $32,000. Mr. Brown, this is ridiculous, and people see you for what you are. And I want to see how many councilmen support this, but didn't support last month a savings of $78,000. End of report, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Mr. Moore, may I comment?
Mr. Sheehy, discussion.
We had a meeting last night. We had a meeting before we came here. Here we go again. We come out here and we get this thrown in our face. You know, that judge gets, I don't know if it's 12 or 15 sick days. And that is an awful strain. When he's out those sick days, we have to pay somebody, I think it's $350 a day to cover for him. It's a part-time job. Does anybody in this room that doesn't work for the city of Linden get 12 sick days? There's nobody gets 12 sick days, and it's a part-time job. We need to start from zero again and make things right. And you know, I'll make it simple for you. You're going to build an addition on your home. If the guy is $75,000 cheaper, which one are you going to take? If it was $5,000, $10,000 cheaper, all right, we can go with it. But $75,000 cheaper, now this fella throws up the savings of $30,000 and we're all going to go for it. Well, I'm not going for it. I'm sick and tired of listening to the people in this town complaining about the taxes going up. Believe you me, I have nothing to do with these taxes going up in this town. I've been fighting for 3 years, and the items that are coming up now are what me and Mr. Arvanik have been fighting for the last 3 years. And I'm sorry that I better shut up. I'm sorry.
Mr. Moore. Council President. Council President.
Let's have some order here. I'm going to suspend the conversation for 2 minutes, and we're going to have a presentation to allow some of the children to go home and...
Council President.
Council,
I'd like to comment, sir.
I would like to get the children home in a decent time.
Thank you, sir.
And
I
you'll be...
acknowledge to the children.
I'm suspending the moment to get the children home, so we have some decorum, because it's getting unprofessional. Would you please come up, Mrs. Wilson, Miss Wilson? Williams. And we have a presentation tonight from the Girls Book Club to do a presentation to the mayor. Would you please go to the podium, please?
Thank you, Council President. I appreciate you doing this for us. Very quickly, Mayor, I hope this can bring your frustration levels down some. Last month, I had given the mayor a call because I was told that I, as a parent of a daughter who's involved in this book club, it was my month to host this book club. And lo and behold, I could not find one place to host this book club because my house was just not big enough for all of these girls. So I reached out to the mayor to see if he can help save our February book club meeting because it was in danger of being canceled. And these girls enjoy themselves so much because they do more than just read and talk. They do activities, they learn about themselves, they boost up their self-esteem. So the mayor guided me and helped me and directed me towards Dennis Purvis, who actually helped me reserve the room. That was absolutely beautiful, I have to say. And Mary Purvis, she stayed in contact with me to make sure that I had everything that I needed. She just took care of our every accommodation, and I wanted to thank her as well. So tonight, I brought some members of the Little Sisters in the Know Book Club so that they can do a presentation to the mayor and thank him personally for saving their February book club meeting.
Dear friends of Linden, we thank you for letting us have our book club meeting at the library. We had lots of fun, read lots of books, and did plenty of activities. Once again, we want to thank you. Sincerely, Little Sisters in the Know.
And thank you so much, Mayor. And just so you all can know a little bit about the background of this book club that the mayor helped save, I'm going to invite April Balknight King, Esquire, we have to say that, to give you just a brief synopsis of what these girls do.
Good evening, everyone. I'll keep it short and simple. Little Sisters in the Know is a book club that's tailored specifically for African American young ladies so that they could read books written by African American authors that are about young African American women going through different issues. So for example, one book was about friendship, and so the girls really learned about how to be a good friend and how to be a bad friend, and about the kind of friend that they wanted to be and the kind of friend they didn't want to be. So they've really been learning a lot about themselves, how to get along with others. The project that they did at the library was a scrapbook, so in honor of that we made the mayor's scrapbook. And I just want to really thank the city of Linden for continuing to support programs like that. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. Thank you, children. I'd like to make a statement here in reference to the abolishment of the Budget Committee. I created the Budget Committee as an experiment, as an ad hoc to the Finance and Personnel Committee. And it was an experiment. I'm making a statement.
There's a motion.
Comments on the motion?
I have a further comment, Council President.
Mr. Brown, go ahead.
Thank you, Council President. I would like to say two things. One is that the letter that I have here is dated on the 15th. That's today. And I just want to, and every councilman, if we can go down the row here, I tried to talk about this letter that we received today in session, and we could not. Now, if we're talking about saving money, I'm sorry, to say we're not going to vote on this because I didn't get my way last week, to me is unexcusable. And I understand that a lot of people think it's politics, this and that, but I just want to remind some of the council members here is that not once have I set up here and attacked on anybody here. Have I not made any issue saying, well, you believe this, you believe that, make it, and attack you. I also want to remind some of the council members here is that the council president himself went through, talked to each one of us and said to have some type of decorum. Let's try to work together. If we want to talk and argue in the back room, that's fine. But to come out here and you guys want to blast me, that's okay. I'm not going to sit up here and blast you guys because at the end of the day, I'm here trying to find where the money is. Because last Monday proved it where we found $1.5 million to help decrease the budget. During the budget committee meetings, we've met over 10 times. And as Councilman Pichelle said, you know, our wives know this. You know, as well as some of the employees here, where we're asking questions, we're looking at everything from pension records down to the salaries. We're looking at ways to cut money. And the bottom line is that when you compare the work that the Budget Committee has done, the suggestions that we've made that are on paper, and compare it to the Personnel Finance Committee that does not have a budget together, I'm sorry, it's not political. We plan on producing a budget in April, getting it out early to the taxpayers. That's not political. That's trying to solve the problem. So I ask that if you guys want to continue to blast me up here, that is fine. I'm not going to do it to you guys. We could do it in the back room. The end of the day is that I'm looking to decrease this salary at the request of the judge. Councilman Armstead sat up here and talked about how we need more employees to step up and do this. Well, this is another employee that's stepping up and do this. Whether it's 10%, whether it's 20%, whether it's $5,000, we need to take all we can get. If we want to address the judge issue next month, let's address it next month. But right now, we're short roughly $5 million here, and we're talking about laying off employees in addition to increasing fees on, or imposing fees on garbage. So I request that the council members here work together, work with the council members on reducing the budget. And for my last statement is that we don't need a budget committee in order to work on the budget, to find out what's going on, to ask questions, and that's what we have been doing on the budget. And that's why the Budget Committee was disbanded, is because of the questions that we have been asking. We've been asking questions as far as everything from contributions, whether they're legal, illegal, asking questions as far as, well, how did this salary happen, asking questions, well, what we could do as far as checks and balances. We also talked about ethics here. And I'm sorry, but if you see the council members that have a problem with it, or the council members that have been here prior, things need to change in Linden. And if you're going to sit up here and bash me, I'm willing to take it, but things need to change. I've been here for 3 months, and I've been called, and I'm not going to mention any names, but this happened today. I've been called a monkey by a council member here. I've been told that I'm wet behind the ears by another elected official here. I've been told that let's take it outside, and I'll show you what I'm all about by council members here. I've been threatened here, and I'm willing to keep taking it. And if you want to continue this, I have no problem doing it behind. But as far as it's right now, the motion on the table is to reduce this salary now.
Mr. Brown, I got to interrupt you. You indicated a non-truth. You said the reason why the Budget Committee was dissolved was because of what you were trying to do. The purpose of the Budget Committee, after 3 memos, if you recall, was to give input to the Finance and Personnel Committee that would formulate it and make the reductions in the budget. Did you not receive the memos?
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Brown, did you not receive the memos?
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Brown?
Yes, I'm sorry, Jim. Yes, I did receive the memo.
Did you read them?
Let me finish, please. I did receive the memo. I did read it. In addition, we can point to the memos where we did make requests to the Personnel Finance Committee that still to this date have not been addressed.
Let me read the memo back to you. Please
No,
be
no, wait,
advised,
wait,
I would
wait.
like
Chairman,
to
can
once
we
again
move
to remind
on?
you to a
Mr.
few
Chairman.
items. As council president,
Mr. Chairman.
I will not be notified of all meetings and you and the committee set up and should not conflict with the caucus meetings.
Mr. Chairman?
You
Mr. Chairman?
overstepped your bounds.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Cosio.
You just spoke an untruth. When you formed...
I have it in writing.
When you can hold whatever you'd like. I'm going to tell you what happened the night of reorganization. I asked you, what would you like the committee to do? What is our scope of work?
Reduce the budget.
What is
and
our
bring it up
charge?
to the personnel committee,
You
which is
said
a standing
reduce
committee, and
the
you were ad
budget.
hoc committee.
You said reduce the budget. You didn't give us any parameters. You didn't give us any scope of work. You said reduce the budget. That means we're going to dig, we're going to explore, we're
And
going to
bring
do
it to the
whatever we have
finance,
to
and
do to
do
find
it in
savings.
a professional, orderly way. You can't be a rogue committee, run around the city hall
By
and
rogue-
upset the staff and,
Excuse
you
me,
know.
by road committee, do you mean putting together minutes after every meeting that we
It
have?
is to bring it to the finance and personnel committee who
That was
makes the
not your
final
initial
decision.
charge. That was your charge after your first memo came out. When you established the committee, reduce the budget was your only charge. We were doing that effectively and quickly. So I hope you stand corrected, Mr. Council President.
Read the memos. Anyone else? This is terrible.
Mr.
You know,
President.
Can
this
I
is
speak,
absolute travesty.
Council President?
Madam?
Please? Okay. We need to move on. It is a school night. As we all know, there are lots of children here. I have to go to work and get my children off to school also. Here's the thing for me. We don't have the judge, right? So we're trying to reduce it. There's a motion on the floor.
We're
Councilman
discussing the
Frazier
motion.
wanted to speak. Like, you guys are
interrupted.
going back and forth about something that's not about what we're talking about. So we just need to move the meeting forward if possible.
There you go.
Mr. Frazier.
Wait, who said why that took over? Did someone say that? I just wanted to talk to the head.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Quite frankly, I'm somewhat quite surprised at this whole council and the display of how they've conducted themselves right here in front of you. I've always considered myself a rather conservative individual. I think I have perhaps the second most amount of longevity on this council, with the exception of Mr. Armstead. And I've always believed in being a team player, working together. Unfortunately, the calamity that you see here this evening certainly indicates we're a split team. We're not playing the right games. We should be playing in favor of you, the constituents, of you, our employees. All right? And that's basically what it's all about. And that's what it should be about. And I'm surprised that on this floor tonight, we have a motion for a resolution for the simple reason we met yesterday until 10 o'clock last night. And there was no
Mention.
question, no answers, nothing whatsoever came out when we were in somewhat of a quasi-relaxed mode so that we could understand what was going on. Also tonight, we met at 6 o'clock, an hour before coming out here, and no one told us that, hey, listen, we're going to put on a motion, and this is the way it's going to be. Quite frankly, my colleagues, I'm totally surprised and disappointed in you. This is not the way we should display ourselves to our community. It certainly says very little to each and every one of us. And I just wanted you to know that.
Further discussion. Mr. Sadowski.
I usually don't talk, but each time we have these caucuses and the meetings, it gets worse and worse. I can remember, I'm only here for 2.5 years or whatever it is, it never was like this, to this degree. It never was. We'd have our differences and so on and so forth, but I sit back at the caucuses, and you just watch the interaction between the people, and like I said, it's not getting any better. Myself, as a councilman, I'm sitting there, I'm getting astounded. I can imagine how you people out there are reacting to this. I really don't know what the solution is, but each councilman or councilwoman has to make their own decision. I do mine, I base it on the facts that I have. If I'm right, I'm right. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I really don't want to get into a discussion with someone for 10, 15 minutes back and forth. The time of it is not out here. So, just to let you know, I don't know how we can improve it. It has to be improved. And I think all the bickering should be done in the caucus, and when we come out here, we should show a combined front to the people. And as for myself and 6 ward constituents, I want to apologize that this is happening. You may agree with what I do, you may not agree, but, you know, let's keep it civil. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sadowski. I'm going to take an interruption in the motion and ask Mr. Freeman to come up and say a few words.
Good evening, Ken Freeman, 1019 Wheat Chief Road. Don't usually need a mic, but I want to make a comment relative to what President Moore said. I think we are better off than a turtle after seeing what goes on tonight. And from our perspective, we just want to comment on the politics. From our standpoint, we don't want to be a part of the politics. We don't want a part of that. All we want is for our kids to have the same chance that all the other kids in the city have. We have over 50 volunteers, none of who are paid, okay, including some police officers and other folks that work for the city, and their kids are in the program. To think about taking the money from these kids, to me, is unbelievable. It's unbelievable. $15,000, you're talking over 350 kids that are definitely going to hit the streets because this program can't survive without that. I mean, we present whatever we need to the city treasurer every year, to the recreation director every year. Whatever they ask us for from a documentation standpoint, we provide. I think I got a call from you asking, was anybody paid? I mean, I answered your question. No, nobody's paid. You're welcome. We have an open transparency. We have nothing to hide. I mean, but if you want to talk about it, I do have some documentation going back to some things that you guys might be interested in. About $90,000 in the program and what happened to that when we wasn't there. Now, I think you might be interested in something like that, but nobody asked those questions. Everybody's targeting us, and frankly, we're insulted by it. I mean, I get kind of emotional too. I'm kind of like Mr. Sheehy. I think I better shut up before I get in trouble. So I'm gonna. That's all I had to say.
Mr. Freeman. I can assure you, under my administration, you have the funding, one way or another.
And I want to say one last thing. With regards to, I like all the Pop Warner people to stand up. Everybody in Pop Warner, stand up. This is just a small portion of who we are, but the mayor can attest that we also do other things beside athletics. The mayor was at a function where we fed the seniors. We do that every year. All of our kids go there and hang out with the seniors all day Thanksgiving for the last 4 years. The mayor showed up and spoke. We get people in the city, the community, to come out. We spend the whole day with them. We give up our day to give them their day. I mean, we have 47 kids that made the academic scholars nationally. Nationally. This is not just an athletic program. This is an academic program. Our kids, we don't allow them to play athletics if they don't produce in the classroom. So we're leading by example. We're setting the example. And hopefully, you guys will continue to support us. Thank you.
Thank you. Back to the motion on the floor. Comments? On the floor from the council. No comments?
What are you discussing? We went through 3 things already.
The judge.
We're back to that now?
That was the motion on the floor. How to get the children out of here.
The motion was seconded already.
Discussion?
Do you have someone who wants a question?
Council President, you got a woman in the front here.
Ms. Hero?
I thought discussion is only by council members, Council President.
Allowed to
Can we
speak
get an
on...
opinion on it, please?
It's a resolution.
Resolution.
It's a resolution. The public has every right to offer their input on a resolution.
That's the opinion.
It is not,
It's on.
Please come up, Mr. Hero.
when it's a motion, it's not my understanding that a motion from the council is supposed to have public comment. It's my understanding.
I disagree with that. If you give me
Please.
a minute, I will find legal counsel's ruling on it.
And I certainly,
Now the public is not even being allowed to comment on resolutions.
When I got the position, during my inaugural speech, I said, there will be change, in 6 words, for the better. And if this is uncomfortable, this is what it's necessary to allow the people to have the freedom of speech. Please go ahead.
Thank you. It's so ironic that some people would be against the First Amendment. You see, you happen to be talking to Linden's, there may be more than one, comparative law scholar, and I got that title from a former attorney who used to work for the city of Linden. You see, I've been published, and like you, I've sworn to uphold the Constitution of the United States. And I've actually read it and been published in that area. And my work was so impressive that I was asked to co-author 2 books. Now, I did turn that offer down, but that's how impressive my work was to the person that asked me to co-author 2 books with him, and he was a Rutgers professor. Having said that, I'm a little bit reluctant to enter into this argument, but so I will. You've sworn, each and every one of you, to uphold the Constitution of the United States of America. And yet, while the mayor said he can't speak on the articles in the paper, I believe I can. The fact is, I don't particularly like seeing the name of Linden in the paper with regard to a judge that has acted, apparently, both as prosecutor and as judge. It's not done. I don't like seeing a former professor at a law school that I happen to attend, Jonathan Turley, having the city of Linden be mentioned in his blog. And by the way, he is a very well-respected professor in the legal community. He's not a rogue professor. He's a very well-respected law professor in the national community. I just cannot believe that, oh yes, well, the judge is going to be taking a pay cut, and so therefore we want to keep him. Do you read the papers? Granted, this is going to be playing itself out, but we already have had that case go now to the Elizabeth courts so they can decide the case. Let me explain something to you. Maybe you don't know this. I don't think any of you went to law school up here. If I'm wrong, please correct me. This country is not a rule of men. It is a rule of law. I think everybody is entitled to their day in court, to have a fair hearing. I don't think, as Lenny Bruce would say, that we should consider that the only justice in the halls of justice should be in the halls. I think it should be in the courtroom too. I don't understand why you were so vehemently supporting this man. I said the jury is still out on this case. I think I will let it play itself out, but still I cannot understand why you were so vehemently supporting somebody like this. And that's all I have to say on this matter. I hope you make your decision with regard to that. It's not a matter of money, it's a matter of justice. Thank you for your time. And thank you very much, Mr. Moore, for giving me my First Amendment right to speak, because I don't think council should subvert the public's First Amendment right by proposing resolutions from the council that the public cannot speak on. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Yes, Ms. Bianca.
Well, it says right here, warranted as determined by the discretion of the council president.
Good evening. I was going to make these comments on the public portion, but while we're in the heat of whatever, this brouhaha, let me present my comments now.
But it doesn't, no.
Now, I don't know what your thoughts were with regards to the March 5th article in the Star Ledger. The report said, Judge finds
Mr.
flaw
Bianco,
in
run the
Linden
mic.
trials, calls it a perversion of justice. Okay, so the Random House Dictionary, perverse, willfully determined not to do what is expected or desired, persistent or obstinate in what is wrong, turned away from what is right or good. Perversion, the act of perverting or state of being perverted, a perverted form of something. Going on. Now, if I were a council person that voted to retain Judge DeLeo, it would weigh heavily on my mind. Now, a reduction in salary, that doesn't change much. We have to consider ethics, behavior. Now, I don't mean to offend anyone's sensibilities. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion. You're watching the clock, Mr. Moore, I know. But at times, one has to wonder, in some of your decisions are motivated by outside influences. Having said that, and with all due respect, I will say, if the shoe fits it, or the cap, whatever, if it fits, wear it. And keep in mind, there is no stigma attached to recognizing a bad decision in time to install a better one. Do the right thing. And I guess I'll just have to keep saying it. The more things change, the more they stay the same. Thank you.
Any additional comment? Mr. Clerk?
Mr. Purcell, this is on the motion to reduce the judge's salary.
I think that'd be good to reduce the salary. I'd rather have a house built with wood than paper if somebody came down in the price. You know, it was mentioned before, you know, you're gonna build a house, somebody's $75,000 cheaper, it'll probably be made out of paper. So that's the quality of work you're getting. If you go for somebody who could pay a little bit more, you have somebody that's out there doing the work properly. Out of 100 and something thousand cases, if you do one that's wrong, that's pretty good. That's real good track record. You look in the papers, you see Superior Court judges, same thing, look at them. You know, so we were asked at the Budget Committee to reduce the salary. Budget Committee did it. I say yes.
Frazier?
Well, just comment that, as I said before, my colleague had the opportunity to bring this forth before us yesterday and prior to this evening. To put it on the floor, I totally disagree with, and particularly since last month, 6 of my colleagues voted for the full salary. It's unfortunate, I hate to use the term, but smells of politics. I'm sorry, and I can't vote for it. No.
Yamakaitis?
I would just like to make mention, Mr. Brown mentioned that this letter from Judge DeLeo was dated today. In the caucus meeting, he brought up if he could discuss this. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Mr. Roth, you here still?
He wasn't there.
Didn't you just mention that Judge DeLeo agreed to be riced for now?
We contacted him together, Counsel.
So I'd like the public to
But-
know that.
Yeah, we contacted him during this meeting because that was the only time we were made aware of the letter. We weren't made aware of the letter prior to the start of the meeting.
Okay. So I'd like the public to be aware of that. We could not discuss this in caucus tonight. It was clarified here. I'd like to also make mention that we've been talking about this budget since last August. Been working on it. The fire department had layoffs. We've asked other city departments to take zeros. Was this the directive to this budget committee? Was this not the directive to the negotiations committee to reduce salaries? The judge came forth and reduced his salary. When we're talking politics, the candidate that was brought forth last month was the campaign manager for the mayor's campaign. If that's not politics, I don't know what is. The judge came forth and he agreed to reduce his salary. I think that's a big step in the right direction for all city departments. Therefore, I will be voting yes.
Sheehy.
I'd like to make a comment. The Building Codes Department would not let you build a house out of paper. I vote.
How do you know?
I vote no.
Sadowski.
As I did last time, as I did 2 years ago, I do believe in Judge DeLeo, and I've explained this at meetings to people, and I just told them this was my belief, right or wrong, and I vote yes.
Crosby Hurling.
The letter said April 20th, right?
No. Oh,
It said effective April 20th?
Effective April 30th.
Okay. I'm going to abstain because we have another meeting between then.
Armstead.
No.
Brown.
Okay. My last comments on this matter. Ms. Hero, I'd like to thank you to come up for your comments. I always welcome them. One thing I do want to mention, because this case keeps getting brought up, and I'll be honest with you, we need to focus on the budget. To me, that's where our priority is. But the council members, and it's Ms. Hero, well, I'm being totally honest with you, is that we've gotten maybe every article that came out with was put in our mailbox. So when someone's focusing solely on this issue, we're neglecting everything else around in the city. You know, I'm not mentioning names, but that's where we're at. And if we're having a hard time, we're discussing this for 45 minutes, an hour, reducing his salary, we can talk about another judge next session. Just imagine what the budget committee has been dealing with as far as roadblocks, even when we're talking about correcting things. You know, the Pop Warner came here today. It was never saying we're taking away the money. It was a matter of the state statute says we're doing it the wrong way. How do we fix it? And we talked about that today. All right, let's have a law department look in the contract. I contacted a Pop Warner and told him, listen, I'll come in and speak to it. But I'm sorry, I'm looking at you, but it's not towards you. I just want to say is that as far as when it comes to DeLeo, I think he's had over, and this is public record, over 100,000 court cases in the years that he's been here. And when you take one instance like this and divide that by $100,000, you're getting the percentage of error 0.001%. And I understand what you're saying, but in regards to this matter, I'm voting yes.
Koziel.
I'd like to address a remark that Councilman Frazier made. In fact, several council people brought up the issue of politics here. Anybody you talk to, anybody who's been to a Linden Municipal Court, anybody in the county, I think has wonderful things to say about how it's run. You heard some things here, of course, when you have a council meeting and there's an issue, people are going to come back and forth, and there's good, there's bad. But all in all, I have faith in who we have currently. I will support him. And it's just, the politics issue really bothers me. As Peter said, we find things in our mailbox all the time. It's specific. It's targeted towards one topic. It's tunnel vision, one topic. When this topic is over, we will focus on another topic until that is resolved. The person that the mayor is proposing, I've never seen a resume. I've requested it many times, never seen a resume. Don't know what kind of law he practices. He spoke before us, but I still don't know what his area of expertise is. He's never served as a public defender. He's never served as a prosecutor. Experience means a lot to me, all right? As Jack said, you build a house, less money, you may have problems. You may. If I get ill, God forbid, anybody gets ill, are you going to go to somebody who just graduated from medical school, or are you going to find a specialist? I would find a specialist because it means that much to me. I don't want somebody to say in an interview, this isn't rocket science. I don't take that lightly. Our municipal court, I take very seriously, and the perception of it I take very seriously around the county and around the state. I vote yes.
Kalbus.
I just have one comment. As in the past, I'm going to vote no on this matter. And I just want to mention that I applaud the Budget Committee's recommendation and all the points they made to reduce the budget. But it seems to me that when forced the removal of the bench from Judge Aaliyah, he finally decided to take a pay cut when we could have done that right from the beginning and we wouldn't be arguing about this. So I will vote no.
Mr. Moore.
I'm a little concerned about the procedure that we're using tonight with this kamikaze type of government. I should have known from the reorganization meeting that this would be a standard operating position and not discuss it in caucus in a professional manner. And this incident, I understand what the judge is still pending in court, and there's been no decision has been made yet. So without that information, I have to abstain.
5 yes, 4 no, and 2 abstentions.
I'd like a ruling on the abstentions. No, it's not. I have some documentation which I'd like to present. While I'm looking for it, we could continue on, but I have documentation about abstentions. And I'd like our attorney to read it and then make a ruling. This is from our former municipal attorney, Eddie Kaloji, December 30th, 2008, regarding abstentions. I would like our counsel to read it. It's going to take a little time. Maybe for sake of time, we should move on and discuss it afterwards.
We're going to take a 5-minute recess, advice of counsel.
What do you got for this stress?
You want one? How are you, man?
Hey, buddy. President asked for decorum, didn't he?
And I'm the only one wearing green. What is
Just go on, if anybody would notice
This lady, she's assistant clerk. She's third string lawyer. I'll announce her. She's going to make a ruling right now.
Yeah, she works in the same office.
Once you read that, and then information is now.
Part of it too. So maybe I can talking about
Public. I will make a
Keep it up. He's threatening me.
You just called me a Haitian bitch.
Oh, really? Knock it off.
Yes, you did. And then you just said you're going to have somebody who arrest me? Because he's standing up for me after what you said?
We want you to introduce yourself who you are. So when they ask you for anything, tell that you work for Democrats. Please. Have a seat. All in order.
That's all I said. This is nuts.
When the call,
Sit down, sir. House is under call. Mr. Clerk, give me a roll call. Who's present?
Mr. Purcell. Mr. Frazier. Mrs. Yemakaitis.
Here.
Mr. Sheehy.
Here.
Mr. Sadowski.
Here.
Mrs. Crosby Hurling. Mr. Armstead.
Here.
Mr. Brown.
Here.
Mr. Koziel.
Here.
Mr. Colobus.
Here.
Mr. Moore.
Here. Mr. Clerk, do we have a quorum?
Yes.
Make note of the absentees. I would like to get a parliamentarian ruling from our attorney. Would you please introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you, Council President. Diane DeBulis from Roget McCarthy. Dan McCarthy is the Assistant Municipal Attorney. I am his partner. I have been provided, as this issue does not frequently raise itself, by a Law Department memo from the City of Linden regarding abstentions, which has the statute attached. Abstentions when only a majority of a quorum is required, which is this instance because it's a resolution. So where only a majority of a quorum is required, an abstention is effectively an affirmative vote. If, for instance, this had been a bond ordinance or something else where there was a specific number of votes needed, it would be a negative vote. So because it's a resolution, it's an affirmative vote.
Based upon information, for clarification, anyone that voted to abstain, I would ask the clerk to recall a new roll.
1 second. Mr. Frazier.
What do we call it?
There's been a ruling, Mr. Frazier, based upon what abstentions mean on a
Is this a
resolution.
roll call or the vote itself?
A vote based upon clarification of abstention.
Then it's a no, like it was before.
Council President.
Anyone who abstained wishes to change the vote based upon the information from the parliamentarian. Let it be known that I'm changing my vote based upon the interpretation from the attorney to a no. Can I have a,
We still have her coming in. She abstained.
we'll allow the councilwoman to be seated. How many people abstained? Attorney, please. Would you please re-inform the council what the abstention means? Based upon the information, do you wish to change your vote? Madam Councilwoman.
Oh, you asking me again?
Yes, ma'am.
Can I make a motion to table it until April's meeting, the resolution?
We have vote on the floor.
Oh, well, no.
No. And can we have a,
The motion
please?
has 5 yes and 6 no.
Thank you. Mr. Brown, please.
And a report.
Mr. Cozio?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Second ward-related items. The West Elizabeth Avenue Flood Control Project, the DEP is still processing our last permit, and once it is signed, we anticipate an authorization to advertise will then be sent, and not soon enough. Hopefully, this will be received in April, next month in April. The Department of Public Works is in the throes of citywide pothole repair using cold patch temporarily until it's warm enough to repair them properly. Mr. Venditto was at the caucus meeting last night. He gave a lot of great information, and some of these potholes just, they come up quick and they're huge, and they've been on them, and I've identified many. And there's, if one has developed or gotten worse near you, please contact me. Wood Avenue cleanliness. Last week in the rain, I took a nice stroll up and down Wood Avenue. It just happened to be one of those days, I think with the snow melt and everything, there was just a lot of debris, and, and everything was overflowing, and it was in the curbs, and it didn't look the way Linden should. And I brought that up to Mr. Venditto as well, and he said he would make concerted efforts to keep the avenue clean and litter-free, and also to remove the holiday foliage out of our pots downtown. We've got to get ready for spring. And due to the installation of the high-retention catch basin grids in our ward, and I'm sure in every ward, again, with the rains and, everything, it just gets trapped there. You get heavy rain, so we're gonna ask those to be cleaned out as well. The Committee on Consolidation and Restructuring. Committee will make final recommendations regarding a revised table of organization for the Public Property, Municipal Garage, and Public Works Departments. We'll confer with Mr. Roth on that, and I think we have about a week and a half to get that information to him. We continue to work to optimize our workforce and make certain that there are no unnecessary or duplicative positions. We have requested information from the Linden Police Department, and will soon proceed to review personnel ranks, the table of organization, along with rank structure and shift scheduling. I don't want to say much more about the Budget Committee. It's dissolved. It is no more. I think we did a lot of good work. And again, I just wanted to make mention before, when the Council President mentioned the reorganization, our charge was to dive in to dangerous territory and take a look at everything, making sure we spend properly, efficiently. The gentleman to my right has taken a lot of heat. Mr. Puchel and myself, we've taken heat. We've had a public forum that was attended by a lot of people here. We appreciate the fact that you came out. We appreciate the fact that we had a town hall type meeting. We didn't think we were going to stand here for 3 or 4 hours and with accolades coming out. We know we were going to take heat. We know we were going to get beat up, and we did. But we did that because we wanted to hear what your perception was of how we spend money. After last year, when we bring a budget out, when I say we collectively, the Personal and Finance Committee brings the budget out in June with literally no time to affect that year's change. We wanted to change that. We dove right into it, and we had the resources to do it. I asked to be on this committee years ago. I was on 1 year. We saved money. I was taken off. This year, committee's dissolved. We don't need a committee. We don't need a piece of paper to allow us to do our work. We're going to continue to do our work. We're going to continue to work on it. Who knows? There may be a choice of budgets this year. Who knows? Who knows?
Mr. Cozio was not here last year. The budget will be brought in on time. I said during my inaugural speech that there would be change. This was a temporary situation. The Budget Committee would be making recommendations to the Finance and Personnel Committee in bold black letters. I think that's the problem.
What's that dated, Mr. Council President?
The third memo is dated March 7th.
Reorganization meeting in January, you gave us no scope but to reduce the budget. We didn't change the game. That's all I'll say on that. We're going to continue to work. We're going to continue to scrub.
Please. Any advice to the Finance and Personnel Committee would be appreciated. Mr. Colibus?
I'm not finished.
Excuse me.
Clean communities, a lot of young people have been calling me about the Clean Community Work Program. That's to be determined. Mr. Armstead, we spoke about that last night, and we're going to have some money, but we don't know really how much money we're going to have and really how we're going to deploy. Last year we spoke about doing things a little different way, where we have again, we optimized supervision, and we don't have a lot of overtime hours. So if that program does come through, I will contact everybody who contacted me either through email or by phone. I, along with many other council members and the mayor, attended Union County Shared Services Summit at the Union County VOTEC on March 2nd. Very, very great event, eye-opening, really. We were able to share information and insight with neighboring communities and opportunities on how to partner with other cities to save money and optimize our services. And I attended a workshop. Mr. Frazier was there, the mayor was there, Mr. Puchel was there, and I think Councilwoman Yamakaitis was there. And it was great. We had an opportunity to pick a couple.
Mr. Armstead and myself were there.
Not in this. Were you in the workshop as well?
We attended a different workshop.
Well, I'm talking about the workshop. All right. The workshop was on waste management, collection, and recycling. And we sat with people we didn't know. We sat with somebody from Roseville Park, the mayor of Berkeley Heights, really a different walk of life from around Union County. What was interesting to see was what they do compared to what we do. We have everything structured. We have our departments, and they're very well defined, and they're very well staffed. Some of these people are working so lean. You'll look in the books, and one individual will have 3 or 4 different titles. So it was good to see what they have to offer, what we have to offer, and what we could possibly offer them as far as services go, and also to look back into what we have with the Board of Education and how we could utilize services and share those services back and forth here. And I think that's an untapped resource on both sides that we could really take advantage of. Okay, Linden 150th anniversary celebration. Mary Kajusco's in the back, and she is dressed in period costume, or attire, I should say, not costume. And she is representing the Linden Historical Society tonight and handing out cards for the Historical Society. We thank you. You look lovely. But thank you. There she is. And we are working, there's a lot of people, there's several different organizations now working to promote the fact that we are celebrating 150th. It's a milestone, it truly is. There was also a society that was established 2 months ago. It might have been last month. We've been working on it since the beginning of the year. It's called the Linden Society for Historic Preservation. We have very much the same mission, and we will solicit and invite all members to join. And we are going to celebrate. We're going to have a nice celebration. We should have started like June or July of last year. We did not. We started this year. But we are going to get people involved. I know the mayor is going to, per the resolution, bring some people forth, and we're going to get a charter membership, an executive committee, and we are going to plan some events. We may do a video. We're going to do a calendar. We're going to partner with the schools. We're going to partner with the library. There's a lot of memorabilia that is out there to display. Lauren Yates, who was the author of 2 history books, who was here last month and was recognized. She has so much memorabilia. I've collected a lot. And if anybody goes on Facebook, and I know a lot of you do, look up the Linden Society for Historic Preservation. It's a community organization. I'm throwing pictures up there. I'm throwing little comments and things. But it's an ongoing thing throughout the course of the year to get people really excited. And that was in Linden. You don't know. I came across a record label the other day, and we had a lot of things in Linden. I mean, everybody remembers Park Plastics and this and that. And then it's great when somebody jumps on and says, oh, I remember that. Do you remember this? So it's exciting to get people excited about the history of Linden and what was here and where we can go. So watch for things on TV 36 and on the website, and we hope to culminate at our fall celebration later this year. It's more about awareness, and it's more about just getting the word out there, and hopefully the 2 societies can work together. You look lovely. And that's it. End of report. Thank you.
Mr. Garza, you're the chairman of the anniversary committee with Mr. Frazier and myself?
Yes.
Have you called any meetings yet?
Not yet.
All right, would you keep us informed?
As you heard, what I was trying to do, and I think I emailed the mayor today, what I'd like to do is get our list of initial members established. I've sat with Mrs. Yates, who has graciously agreed to take the helm. And again, all I am is a councilmatic, a chairperson. I don't expect to run it. I don't want to take control of it. I just want to help it along and nurture it with whatever efforts that I can. Everybody will be involved. It will be an open society, organization. Everybody can join. We will certainly include you, all members of council. But again, what I'd like to do, and I've solicited the mayor on this, we do
I'm
need...
in reference to your chairmanship of the committee with Mr. Frazier and myself. Will you keep us notified as to the progress?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
End of report.
Councilman Kalboulos.
Thank you, Council President. First, I just want to congratulate Lieutenant Clark and Sergeant Fernandez of the Police Department on their promotions. Congratulations and well deserved. I also want to welcome back firefighter Joe Stanley. I just have a brief report, Council President. I want to make an announcement to all Linden residents to please be aware of illegal solicitation from businesses coming into Linden. If someone knocks on your door and you are not obligated to open the door, if you do, please ask for the proper identification and ask questions. And just simply say no thanks if they're still there. There's been a company coming into our neighborhoods and alleging that they can lower your gas and electric bill. This company is not authorized to solicit business in Linden, and just because they're coming to the door, again, you don't have to answer them. And if you feel so, they're hanging around, please call the police to check up on the situation. I believe Mr. Lindsay last night brought up a situation that happened to him and also to myself as well. And I don't off the top of my head remember the name of the company. Joe, do you? MX Energy. So we were informed last night by the city clerk that this company is not authorized to conduct business in Linden. So just be aware. From the engineering report, the first information from the 2010 census shows the city's population has increased by 1,105, over 2.8% over the 2000 census. We are now at 40,499. As a comparison, Union County's population increased by only 0.9%. As the Census Bureau disseminates further information, we will let the council know and public know once we receive the block-by-block populations. We will then determine if any ward redistricting is required. Since last year, additional houses previously funded by the city's home improvement program were sold and our liens repaid. The county requires us to spend these funds quickly. The engineering committee met with the representatives of the engineering and public works department and developed a plan to use the $108,000 for the road improvements to Pierce Avenue from Roselle Street to Bauer Street and for the sewer improvements to Lumber Street and Clinton Street. From the construction code department, the figures for February 2010, 110 permits processed, 91 certificates issued for a collection of $24,300. Sincerely, Frank Gomdowski, Construction Code Department. If any First Ward resident needs to get in touch with me, please contact me at 925-5568. This concludes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you. Mayor's report.
Thank you, Council President. I also would like to congratulate Lieutenant Clark and Sergeant Fernandez. I know you both guys are going to do a good job. You now have added responsibilities. Sarge, you're going to have to not only worry about yourself, but about 12 other guys. And the lieutenant is going to have to be in charge of a shift, especially when his superiors are not working. But I know both of you will do a good job, and I wish you well in your new ranks. I'd also like to mention that the Linden Society for Historical Preservation has teamed up, as Councilman Koziel said, with the Cultural Committee to have different events throughout the year for our 150th anniversary. And the kickoff for the 150th anniversary, and the public will be made more aware of this as the date gets closer, is going to be a foot race on May 8th at 10 o'clock in the morning at Tiger Stadium, a 5K, which is 3.1 mile foot race, starting and ending up at the Tiger Stadium. We are looking forward to having a large field of runners. We also welcome spectators to cheer the runners on, and it is going to be a certified course by the Track and Field Association. So I just want to bring everybody's awareness up that is going to be the kickoff for the 150th anniversary of the city of Linden. I'd also like to mention that over the past couple of weeks, I've been to Trenton about 5 times, talking to the Lieutenant Governor, talking to Matt McDermott, her chief of staff, talking to the DOT commissioner, talking to Commissioner Bob Martin from the DEP. Linden is getting very aware, I should say Trenton is getting very aware of the city of Linden. We are constantly going down there, letting them know the resources that we have available, letting them know the vacant properties that we have, and we are soliciting their help. As the governor said, he's gone to Illinois. He's been trying to entice corporations to move back to New Jersey. We want the governor and lieutenant governor to be aware of the development areas that we have available in the city of Linden, and we have many of them. And in the near future, we're going to be going, the governor's, lieutenant governor's Business Action Committee is going to be coming to Linden, and we're going to give them a site tour of all the facilities available so they could see exactly what we have. So I'm getting very excited. We are getting help from the state. As I've stated, we're the 23rd city to get Transit Village status, which also entices businesses to move within a half a mile of the Transit Village, or entices residential or condominium development within a half a mile of the railroad station. And you're going to see quite a bit of growth coming to the city in another 6 months to a year. So I'm excited about Linden. Yes, we have budgetary problems. Yes, we're working hard to resolve them. But as been stated in the past, the other half of the equation is to increase revenues to our city, and that's what the Personnel Finance, the Linden Economic Development Corporation, and my office are aggressively pursuing. End of report, Council President.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and my hat's off to you for the work that you do. That's behind the scenes, and it's unappreciated. We're going to go into resolutions. Public comments will be permitted for those specific resolutions to be removed from the consent approval. Please read the synopsis of the resolutions, which have been prepared by the City Clerk's office. Each is informative and self-explanatory. However, if you wish to address a specific resolution, the council will entertain questions on it. Does anyone wish to remove a resolution? Number? Pat Hero, number?
The whole page.
Mrs. Melick? In the center? On the left? Yes. Would you like it pulled? Ma'am? Would you like to speak on 115? Need a motion on 128 to remove it.
Council President, I ask that Resolution 2000-128 be pulled for further consideration and seek a second.
Second. Mr. Purcell.
Yes.
Frazier.
Yes.
Yamikaitis.
Yes.
Sheehy.
Yes.
Sadowski.
Yes.
Crosby Hurling.
Yes.
Armstead.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Koziel.
Yes.
Colibus.
Yes.
Mr. Moore.
Yes. 2011-108. I have a motion on the consent agenda that's not pulled. I have a vote on the resolutions that are not pulled.
Council President, I ask that resolutions 2011 -108 through 2011-128, with the exceptions of resolutions 108, 113, 114, 115, 120, and 121, be passed, and seek a second.
Thank you.
Second.
Mr. Purcell.
Yes.
Frazier.
Yes.
Yemakaitis.
Yes.
Sheehy.
Yes.
Sadowski.
Yes.
Cosby Hurling.
Yes.
Armstead.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Koziel.
Yes.
Kalbus.
Yes.
Mr. Moore.
Yes. Resolution 2011-108, Pat Hero, please.
Okay, it says, due to the change in date of the annual school board election. When is the school board election? I thought it was April the 27th.
It is, when we did the schedule for the meeting back in November, it was still listed as the date in between. The governor made the change.
Okay. My concern is, when is the first night of Passover?
The 19th.
Won't that be conflicting with some people in the Jewish community who may want to either attend or this meeting? Shouldn't we keep it April 20th, since the first night Passover is April the 19th?
It is April 20th. That's what it was changed to.
Oh, okay,
From
so
the
April
18th.
20th is the first night of Passover.
April 18th begins Passover at sundown.
Okay, I just want to make sure that the people in the Jewish community were respected. Thank you.
Motion, please.
Council President, I ask that resolution 2011-108 be passed, and seek a second.
Second.
Mr. Purcell.
Yes.
Frazier.
Yes.
Yemakaitis.
Yes.
Sheehy.
Yes.
Sadowski.
Yes.
Cosby Hurling.
Yes.
Armstead.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Koziel.
Yes.
Kalbus.
Yes.
Mr. Moore.
Yes. (2011-13). Pat Hero.
I may somewhat batch this with 114 in the interest of time. As I've been up here several times, but some people up here are new and perhaps don't realize that when government gets involved in the redevelopment business, things can get very, very expensive. Now, unfortunately, we're probably going to have to approve this, but how many more times are we going to have to come back and pay good taxpayer money out of this? Which leads me to number 114. According to Mr. Sadowski, things have apparently been taken care of with regard to the city of Linden with regard to this case. So why are we spending an additional $10,000 on this?
Well, all I was told was that they came with, a good recommendation for the city of Linden. We were ahead, but there's still, I guess, options for Verge to continue what they were doing.
Okay,
And that might be I don't know why we're spending the extra 10,000, but that might be the reason.
Okay, but as you can see, getting government involved in the redevelopment business is awfully expensive for the taxpayers. Thanks. Oh, I'm up here for number 115?
Yes.
Okay. I was wondering, what exactly are we getting for this money? Why are we...
Ms. Hero, I need a motion on that for a vote,
Okay,
please.
I'm sorry.
Council President, I ask that resolutions 2011-113 and 114 be passed, and seek a second.
Second.
Mr. Purcell.
Yes.
Frazier.
Yes.
Yemakaitis.
Yes.
Sheehy.
Yes.
Sadowski.
Yes.
Cosby Hurling.
Yes.
Armstead.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Koziel.
Yes.
Kalbus.
Yes.
Mr. Moore.
Yes. 115.
What are we getting for the services with regard to the visiting nurse and health services?
Nancy Cullis will answer that.
This contract, according to minimum performance of standards for local health departments, we have to have a structured health education program. And this contract with visiting nurse gives us a certified health educator who oversees our program, presents these programs at our screenings, at our clinics, and to the various organizations as were mandated by the state.
We couldn't do it in-house then?
We don't have a certified health educator. We supplement these programs with our in-house people, with our nurses.
Okay. Thank you.
Board Member Williams, please. Thank you. Motion, please.
Council President, I ask that Resolution 2011-115 be passed and seek a second.
Second.
Mr. Purcell.
Yes.
Frazier.
Yes.
Yemakaitis.
Yes.
Sheehy. Sadowski.
Yes.
Cosby Hurling.
Yes.
Armstead.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Koziel.
Yes.
Colibus.
Yes.
Mr. Moore.
Yes. 211, 120, Pat Hero.
With regard to government does not belong in the redevelopment business, we have taken out a certain property with regard to this, and for that I am eternally grateful for that. I just wish the other people may have been allowed to keep their property also. It's a terrible thing when government comes after your property. Fortunately, the Supreme Court in the state of New Jersey has spoken up for landholders with regard to most cases of eminent domain abuse, not all. And Judge Barasonic has certainly helped us out a great deal also. But again, I don't think anybody should live in fear of the government seizing their property for non-public uses, as the traditional definition goes. So, not the kilo definition. So for this, I'm very grateful that their property will be allowed to be kept by them. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Malik, please.
I just wanted clarification. What is the area, the St. George Avenue redevelopment area, and what properties, removing certain properties? Someone just clarify that?
It's from East Baltimore Avenue until Charles Street. The property being removed are 3 lots, actually. On Union, there's a lot, and then on Charles Street, there's a property that takes up 2 lots, so they've been taken out.
I'm not familiar with the streets. I mean,
St. George's Avenue.
Right, but
at the railroad tracks.
Oh, the rail tracks, okay,
Beginning
I
there,
gotcha.
going over until you get to AutoZone.
Okay, all right, fine, thank you.
Where the vacant buildings are right now.
All right, thanks.
Motion, please.
Council President, I ask that Resolution 2011-120 be passed and seek a second.
Second.
Mr. Purcell.
Yes.
Frazier.
Yes.
Yemakaitis.
Yes.
Sheehy.
Yes.
Sadowski.
Yes.
Cosby Hurling.
Yes.
Armstead.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Koziel.
Yes.
Colibus.
Yes.
Mr. Moore.
Yes. Ms. Malik, please.
I'd just like someone to explain,
2011, 121.
right, 121, these reserves here, where are these reserves coming from? Just reinterpret, what am I reading here?
Treasurer.
Yes, Mrs. Malik, what this is the reserve for uncollected taxes. This is an appropriation in our budget. Every year, we have to appropriate a dollar amount because we never, as a municipality, collect 100%. We do have a high tax collection rate here in Linden. It's over 98%, but we have to account for that other percentage that we don't know what the reserve's going to be. In the past, it had been an exception. When the state was allowing a 4% cap, there was various exceptions to the 4% cap. This had been an exception. Now that we're under the 2% cap for the amount to be raised by taxation, the reserve for uncollected taxes is now part of all the appropriations. There's no exception. And in these harsh economic times, that number is going to change because less people are able to pay their taxes. So therefore, the governing body has asked this resolution be prepared, and we're going to send it to the state to try to urge our lawmakers to let this be an exception if a municipality does choose to use it, to have it as a tool to use as an exception to the 2% tax levy.
So you want it to be higher?
We want to be able to have it excluded from our total appropriations as an exemption.
Okay, all right, fine, thank you.
Thank you.
Motion, please.
Council President, I ask that Resolution 2011-121 be passed and seek a second.
Second.
Mr. Purcell.
Yes.
Frazier.
Yes.
Yemakaitis.
Yes.
Sheehy.
Yes.
Sadowski.
Yes.
Cosby Hurling.
Yes.
Armstead.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Koziel.
Yes.
Colibus.
Yes.
Mr. Moore.
Yes. Has anyone had not had an opportunity to sign the sign-in sheet for discussing ordinance on first reading yet?
Public comments. Public comments, Jim. Public comments.
These are ordinance on first reading. The council, in order to take into consideration the public input in proposed ordinance, will allow 3 minutes for each individual to speak on any of the ordinance on first reading. Council will not answer any questions, and everyone is reminded that the public hearing on each of these ordinances will be held next month, council meeting. 55-15.
An ordinance extending rent control in the city of Linden for 1 year from April 19, 2011 to April 18, 2012.
No one? Okay, Mr. President, I move for the introduction of ordinance 55-15 and request the second.
Second.
Mr. Pichelle?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Koziol?
Yes.
Colibus?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. 55-16.
An ordinance adopting amendments to the redevelopment plan for the St. George's Avenue redevelopment area Phase 2.
I'm sorry. Mr. President, I move for approval of 5516 and ask for a second.
Second.
Introduction, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Mr. Pichelle?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Sheehy?
No.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Abstain.
Armstead?
Yes.
Brown?
Abstain.
Koziol?
Yes.
Colibus?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. $55.17.
An ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 7 Traffic as follows. Section 7-26 Loading Zone, 7-26.1 Pickup and Drop-Off Zones. Delete Spruce Street Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. and 2:30 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. on the west side, beginning at a point 55 feet north of the north curb line of West Blanky Street, extending along the western curb of Spruce Street, and ending at a point 120 feet north of the West Blanky Street, beginning again at a point 143 feet along the western curb line, and ending at a point 216 feet from the north curb line of West Blanky Street. Add Spruce Street Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. and 2:30 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. on the west side, beginning at a point 59 feet north of the north curb line of West Blanky Street, extending along the western curb of Spruce Street, and ending at a point 129 feet north of the West Blanky Street, beginning again at point 153.5 feet along the western curb line and ending at a point 232 feet from the north curb line of West Blanky Street.
Mr. President, I move ordinance number 55-17 for introduction. I ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Pichelle?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Koziol?
Yes.
Colibus?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
No, 5518.
All right, 5518.
An ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 7 Traffic shall be amended as follows. Section 7-33, Handicap Parking Regulations, 7-33.1A, Handicap Parking on Street, Add 416 Amon Terrace, 1 space.
Mr. President, I move for introduction ordinance number 55-18, and I ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Pichel?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Koziol?
Yes.
Colibus?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. Like comments from the members of the public in attendance?
I have one more ordinance, 5519. Bond ordinance authorizing the resurfacing of various streets in the city of Linden, appropriating $475,000 therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $270,750 in bonds or notes to finance part of the cost thereof.
Motion?
Mr. President, I move for the introduction of ordinance 5519 and request a second.
Second.
Mr. Puchel?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Koziol?
Yes.
Colibus?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. Comments from the public? On city business only, not to exceed 5 minutes. Everybody get a chance to sign the sign-in sheet? I'd like to ask Mr. Joe Bianco come up. Bianco.
Good evening again, Joe Bianco, 423 Fernwood Terrace. Just a couple of items here. There were 2 positive items tonight. Roshana Cosby Hurling, about the signs. All of this is litter. I agree with you very much. And you know, they put them up, don't take them down. And you know what it looks like after a while. So anyway, very good. And another thing, the wall in the chamber here, that's been taken care of. Very good. Well, another thing here, I was at a political rally one time. Now, I'm not painting the politicians with the same brush. And this fellow next to me said to me, "What are they talking about?" I said, "Well, didn't you ever hear," I'll call him Frank, "that if you can't dazzle them with brilliance, baffle them with BS." Okay? And no matter how you slice it, you know, when they're talking, no matter how you slice it, it's still baloney. But anyway, with that said, all my best to my Irish friends and the Irish in general. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Louis Hines.
Good evening. My name is Dolores Hines of Harrison Place. I am a lifetime member and citizen of the city of Linden. I have never spoken at a council meeting. I have been to many. But after last month and today, I know I had to come up. Each one of you are like a pack of animals attacking each other. Where is the respect that each one of us should give to each other? I never seen so much dislikes and hatred as you have exposed tonight. It's a shame, and we citizens and taxpayers are not going to put up with it. Mostly I'm up here about an article that appeared on February 17th, effort to replace Linden judge falls short. And I see our celebrity third ward councilman has quoted, and he states that he voted against appointing Roberts because he felt the mayor and council need to focus on the financial issues. The more time we focus on Dan Roberts is less time we can focus on the budget, Brown said last night. Well, maybe you speak with a forked tongue because maybe you should practice what you preach. The more time you focus on your dislike of the mayor, Richard Gabunka, is less time that you can work on the budget which you were put up there for. Your personal attack was a disgrace and out of line. All of us deserve respect. If any of you council people think it was the right thing to do or a class act, think again, because next month or the month after, he might single you or a family member out and viciously attack you or your family member. The council chambers or council meeting is not the time nor place for you to vent your dislikes or personal feelings. You have a job to do, and that's what you were voted for. Do your job. You came in like a lion, but you will go out like a meek as a lamb. Brown, if you think you're trying to make a name for yourself, you are, but not the positive way you think you are. The citizens of Linden are seeing you as you are, ruthless, arrogant, obnoxious, and disrespectful. You are what we call a middle-aged big bully. In closing this podium and leaving, I have a very loud and clear message from every taxpayer and city of Linden. Read our lips. No tax increase for 2011.
Is Mr. Freeman still in the house? Lisa Ormond, still here?
Good evening. Lisa Ormond, 901 Summit Street, Linden, New Jersey. And I'm also to say that I'm a proud Pop Warner parent. I was also one of the original Pop Warner cheerleaders way back in the 70s. So this program is near and dear to my heart. It gave me my start when I decided that I wanted to go on to middle school cheerleading, high school cheerleading, and then on to college. So it's a program that I want to say is definitely worth saving. The Pop Warner program is also a little scholars program, as was mentioned before, and a lot of our students have actually achieved the 96.7 grade point average that qualifies them for a little scholarship award. So it's near and dear to my heart, as I had mentioned before. So I want to thank the council in advance for doing everything possible to try and save that program, because once again, 300 kids are off the streets from the beginning of August straight through until the end of September, October. It's a very important program. So I did a little bit of math, and I just decided to say, we contribute about $15,000 to the program. With over 11,700 households that pay taxes, that comes out to $1.27 per household. That's less than 11 cents a month. And I'm sorry, I really feel our children are worth more than 11 cents a month. We can go through our pockets in our laundry and find dimes in our pockets and find dimes on the floor of our car seat. So they're worth it to me. The next thing that I'm here to talk about is we need to have a no-nonsense approach to saving money. It's a no-brainer. It's common sense, fourth grade math. When people make too much money, and you can fill a position at a much lower rate, you have to have the common sense just to do it and stop worrying about whether or not they're your friends. I was just laid off from corporate America because my company is accountable to shareholders. Not accountable to me, they're not my friend, they're accountable to shareholders. I was a very high-paid employee after 11 years of Nielsen, and personally, they can bring 2 people in for what they paid me, and they had to make a business decision. They had to get rid of the top-heavy people in order for the company to be profitable. Linden is full of shareholders, and we are holding all of you accountable to cut the top-heavy salaries, especially when we can pay somebody to do the job at a lower rate. Some of the positions that are here that are up for to be reduced, it's not brain surgery. It's not like brain surgery. We can pay someone a lot less money to sit in traffic court and to do some of the other jobs. I don't pay $100 to go to a specialist when I have a sniffle. I just go to my regular primary care physician and pay my $15 copay. I'm not going to pay a lot of money. Last but not least, and this may not be city business, but I really hate when my name is thrown around. And I'm just going to let the city of Linden know that everything that was said up here today was not the truth. In 2007, when I ran for the Board of Education, I ran because I love children. And we both claimed to say that we both claimed to love children when we ran Mr. Brown. But I was confronted constantly with people telling me, oh, I was told not to vote for you. I was told not to vote for you. You're riding on your brother's coattail. I'm a smart woman, and people voted for me because they realized that. So it did bother me that the person that I came from, I'm looking right here. But I decided that I wasn't going to hold any grudges because the citizens of Linden saw who they wanted, they voted for me, a done deal. The second time, once again, I was not wholeheartedly supported, Mr. Brown, like you have led the public to believe. Once again, everyone kept telling me things that were being said about me, and I decided, you know, I wasn't going to really pay much attention to it, but I still have a Facebook printout of your rhetoric, how you praised the Children's First ticket that I was part of, but you praised everyone except for me. Just as a word of, just a little bit of information, sometimes it's not what you say, Mr. Brown, it's what you don't stand up and say. And you did not stand up and say anything positive about me running on that Children's First ticket. That hurt, but I had to develop a tough skin because, you know something, I can hold my own. It didn't bother me later on that somebody who would not endorse me, was in my midst. So I just want to let everyone know that your support of me was disingenuous at best. Thank you.
John Mall.
Sure. Council President, can I respond?
Go ahead. Please.
Thank you. I just
briefly.
I see where this is going. Lisa, with all due where's Lisa at? Lisa, correct me if I'm wrong. When that Facebook thing came out, you pointed it out. We discussed this at my house. I mean, you bring this up. We should talk about this. Not only were you there, but other members of the Children's First ticket was there, and we discussed this. And I apologize that I wasn't trying to make you feel that way. And in addition, after that incident happened, again, this was at my house. We met repeatedly, shared emails. I went out there, campaigned for you, had your lawn sign on my lawn. Lisa, please let me speak. I have the emails to show that. And Lisa, with all due respect, and I tell you how I voted, I did vote for you, and I spoke many times positively about you. When people came and attacked you as far as your character, I stood up and defended you, and some of your own, Lisa, and you're right, and that's exactly what I told people. I told people who were presently on the board right now about your character, how you stood for yourself. And in addition, I just want to...
Please sum up, sir.
But let me finish, because... with all due respect, if I'm being attacked, I should be able to defend myself.
Please sum up.
The other issue that the other lady brought up, as far as the newspaper article, again, it was a reporter reported it, and I didn't say that my reason for voting for DeLeo was a matter of focusing on the budget. The reporter wanted to get me to talk about the vote, and I told him that my focus is on the budget right now, because. With all due respect, I can show you, and any councilman can tell you here, we've been constantly bombarded with issues that are personal in nature, nothing to address the budget.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. John Mall. Left the chambers. Patricia Taylor. John Klein. Ken. John. Pat Hero.
Pat Hero, Wheat Chief Road. Last summer, I made a promise to myself. And last summer, I said that we perhaps should not give Mr. Messler a rear loading garbage truck. And I had subsequently come to find out some things about the garbage truck. And of course, heard that I guess it was a few months ago, that we had to borrow garbage trucks from Woodbridge. And so tonight, I would like to ask if we could get Mr. Messler a rear loading garbage truck. Now, there is another reason why I said rear loading garbage truck. Now, I knew this day would come. And I'm grateful it hasn't come sooner. And I just want to say that tonight finds me and Councilman Sheehy on opposite sides. Now, let me explain what it doesn't mean. Doesn't mean I disrespect Councilman Sheehy. I'm an independent, he's a Democrat. We've never let that get in our way. I wish some of you would learn that lesson. Come to think of it, me and Councilman Colibus get along fairly well for political opponents. We never let that get in the way either. But on to Mr. Sheehy. There are three things, though, discuss this that you have to realize about Councilman Sheehy and keep in mind. One, he's honest. Bottom line, brutally honest. Second, you know when he votes exactly what he believes in and can tell you why he votes that way. And three, he always is going to do what he believes is in the best interest of the city of Linden. With that, we still stand on different sides on this issue. You see, because for me, I'm not really looking at one-armed garbage trucks favorably, because I like 6-armed garbage trucks. I don't think the city of Linden's problems are with the garbage, people who are dealing with our garbage. I believe the problem is with the people at the top end, the people who have high salaries, the people who don't get cut, or they got their salaries because of their political positions. That's what I'm looking at. I'm not looking at the gentlemen that go, and women who go out in the cold heat and deal with all the, the garbage. Maybe you think that's a good idea to save money, but I don't. I look at those people who have taken the pay freezes, DPW, the ones that could afford it the least, have sacrificed the most, as our mayor said. Well, I don't think they should be called to sacrifice their jobs too. I think, as Tip O'Neill says, all politics is local. And I look at this lately in this country as a war against the workers of America. And I say that where we could stop that war, we should stop it. And I believe that that's where I take my stand, is I can't look at the savings of, oh, well, let's save on workers' compensation. But look how much trucks cost. They cost far more than the rear loaders. You still have to buy all these cans. And I don't know how a small person like me can deal with these heavy cans, or our seniors. I'm concerned about that. And more important, I'm concerned about the people whose jobs may be lost because of this. Also, suppose the cans, the garbage spills out, who's going to take care of that? So like I said, right now, me and Mr. Sheehy, Councilman Sheehy, stand, I guess, on different sides of this issue, but I still respect him tremendously, and I hope he does the same. But like I said, I do believe in workers, and I do believe that there is government and that there is a right for workers to be gainfully employed in this country. Thank you. That's where our taxes come from, after all, not from one-armed garbage trucks. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for summing up.
Can I just comment on that for
Please.
Ms. Hero, please?
Just to stick up for Councilman Sheehy, those one-armed bandits, the one-armed garbage trucks do 120 to 180 houses an hour. So you just have one man on the truck instead of 3. The one thing good about that is we're looking at shared services, so those extra manpower Mr. Sheehy's looking at is to take them maybe into another municipality and pick up recycle, charge them a fee, and bring that revenue back to the city. So it's a good thing that he is looking into that. And I, commend him on that. Yeah, no, just, yeah.
You won't be picked up on
Mrs. Hero, thank you for your comments. I'll still send you a Christmas card.
Don't forget the money in it.
Board Member Jacqueline Williams, please.
Good evening, Council President, members of the City Council. I have a question regarding the Ordinance 5516. As I recall, several months ago, I had questioned a redevelopment plan. I'm not sure if this is the same redevelopment plan that the city took out $1 million bond for, and I questioned the terms and conditions of that bond. I also questioned what types of businesses, quote unquote, would be put alongside St. George Avenue, and whether or not this redevelopment project eventually would become profitable to where the citizens would not be on the hook for repaying that bond. So if I can have someone please comment and tell me what amendments are you referring to and what has taken place since then?
Councilwoman.
The amendments actually tonight are unclear. That's why I didn't vote for them or against them, because I don't even know what the changes were. This is the project that you questioned. $1 million is still out there. Can I talk about the letter?
The letter?
The letter, the request to the developer. I can't discuss it, but the project hasn't moved anywhere, and the city has sought to move it forward. That's all I can say at this point.
Okay. Let me just say this. I'm still concerned about this redevelopment project, not because I don't want it to happen. I would like that since the city went ahead and took out this bond, to do whatever is necessary to make sure that this redevelopment project is successful. Because I, along with a lot of other taxpayers, you know, we pay enough. And I don't want to see Morningstar, if that is the organization that we're talking about, go into default and not be able to repay its debt. I asked the question about the bond and the rate in which we would have to repay that bond at, and I was told by attorney John Hudak that he didn't really know. The rates can change. It can possibly be 2%. Now, I have been in the finance industry for quite some time, and I do residential mortgages, and I have done some commercial lending as well. And I went home, even though I knew what he was telling me was just something to just get me off the speaker. I went home and I double-checked the bond rates for municipal rates, and I could not find one municipal bond for $1 million that you would have to repay at the percentage of 2%. Most of them range between 5 and 7%. So, again, whatever amendments are going to take place, I hope that these amendments are to make this project move it along in a successful manner so that the taxpayers won't be on the hook for this. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, I could answer partially or most of that question. Last year, Council President Bunk and I went down to Trenton. We testified in front of the Finance Board, the local Finance Board in Trenton, and we got $1 million loan from the state of New Jersey at a very, very low rate. Off the top of my head, I don't remember what it was. The reason we got that loan was because we own those 2 blocks, all the buildings, except the social services building. And we want to knock those buildings down because we don't want any squatters or any fires in those buildings. So we had to borrow the $1 million and sign an agreement with Morningstar that they will pay us back when they get financing. You shall see shortly those buildings coming down and have vacant property other than the social services building, which is owned by Morningstar. We've also given due notice to Morningstar that they better have by May 1st a financing of the project, because we've been tolerant for far too long, and if they don't have financing for that project by May 1st, then we're going to default them and go after whatever assets they have as a default for that property. We don't want to do that. Unfortunately, we can't continue going in this direction since 2005, and so that's where we stand right now.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Here's a copy of the amendments.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Finley Brown. Pamela Bell. George Delaney. Rebecca Totoli. Mac. Rebecca Totoli.
Good evening, Rebecca Totoli, 626 Beechwood Road. I just have a couple of questions. First of all, maybe it was a mistake, but we welcome you back, Joe. Pure Gen, I'd like to know, I know you said last month this is directed towards the mayor, Council President Moore?
Yes.
That he was meeting with them, and I know he gave a little brief synopsis of the fact that he did meet with them last few weeks, or in the last few weeks. I was just wondering if there was or was anything said in regards to PureGen and the DuPont property or whatever.
Well, I had mentioned, I believe last month, but if I didn't, I'll repeat myself. I went down and talked to DEP Commissioner Bob Martin concerning the PureGen product development project and how important it was to the economy of Linden. And the reason that I did that was because, if you saw in the paper, the governor vetoed the Liberty Natural Gas pipeline, which was going to be off of Asbury Park and tie into Linden, and we lost revenues there. So I was concerned the governor was going to veto the PureGen pipeline, but the commissioner assured me, and I don't understand the logic, but he assured me that the governor could not do that with PureGen. He could do that with the Liberty Natural Gas pipeline, and then he recommended that we bundle all the permits for PureGen into one sitting so that the DEP could look at it and decide whether it's going to be environmentally safe or unsafe. And that's all I've asked.
Excuse me, when you say bundle, is he speaking specifically to all the municipal permits that they will need to get? Because, I mean, the states, he would have to have that bundled up there, and of course, federal would not be bundled within that. Because they're not all going to come in together.
The
just so you
permits
know.
for the state are in regards to the pipeline and the sequestering of carbon dioxide.
Not all of them.
The city of Linden is only going to make sure that they conform to our construction code when they build the facility. That's the permit process for the city of Linden. But the major permits are the pipeline, the sequesterization, the dealing with the National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Agency, the EPA. That's the ones that are the
Right,
hurdles they got to get over.
they're on the federal level, so.
And the state.
Yeah, when they run into, when they go into open waters, that's when they become federal. Okay. In regards to the Pop Warner, I mean, I'm not sitting here defending anybody, but I sat in caucus last night, and I have to be honest with you, I got a little upset because, you know, for 16 years I coached in this town, both for the recreation department and then for a traveling youth soccer association. And, you know, we never received monies when we started the youth traveling team, which, when I left, affected 350 students or children in this town. And I just was a little upset because it just didn't seem fair. And in all fairness to Councilman Brown, his question last night was not about taking the monies away from the program. His question was the legality of the line item of how it was placed in the budget. It was not specific to the fact of what it was going to, because it was technically a donation contribution, and it was not specifically said like that. And I think his concern was that there was a violation, that if we would ever get audited by the state, that it would have been found that we were in violation of some kind of codes. And I think that's what his question was. It wasn't about taking the money away. I think I got a little more upset than anybody else about the $15,000, only because of the fairness issue as it pertained to other organizations that do the same type of thing. You have basketball, you have the American Legion, and you have the Linden Youth Soccer Association, all within the same community, trying to benefit the youth of this town.
Nick Nigro. We got a list I'm going by. Nick Nigro.
Nick Nigro, 440 Ainsworth Street. Mr. Moore, Question. In January, you decided to form the ad hoc budget committee.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What were the reasons behind forming a committee? Was it that the finance and personnel had so much on their plate to take some of that away from them?
This is a unique year as far as finances are concerned.
I spent 10 years on the Board of Education. I understand unique
You know,
years.
it's very, we're broke.
Yeah.
And the purpose was to comb the budget for any little expenses that were reoccurring and bring that information to the Finance and Personnel Committee.
Okay. Well, from
to
what
have
I
it adopted into the budget.
Okay, from what I understand, that's exactly what the committee did.
However-
They report, excuse me, let me finish. They reported, I believe the comment was made, they found $1.5 million. I'm not, I heard that number when all the rigmarole was going on earlier. Well, it sounds to me like they're doing a good job. Why would you disband it? They've already found $1 million and whatever. It's only March. There's still time to build the budget. Why are you disbanding it? Why not let them continue?
Every councilman has an opportunity for input into the budget.
No, I understand that, but you had put a committee together, and I know they had 9 or 10 meetings. I know they had the open forum. I wasn't able to attend it that evening, but I had talked to the councilmen privately and given them my thoughts on some of the ideas.
They started to deviate from the responsibility.
What was the deviation? What was the deviation?
For example,
Mhm.
the city sat down with various towns for shared services meeting.
Right.
And we worked out agreements. And then there was another, through the Budget Committee, another appointment made to do the exact same thing. It was a duplication of efforts and confusion.
Yeah, but you said when you first told me now that you wanted them to get into every little nook and cranny. Did you let them know that you had already had this meeting for shared services?
It was public notice.
Excuse me?
It was public notice.
Well, if you don't tell them that they're duplicating a service, and it's not costing the city any more money, if they want to spend their time trying to help the citizens of this town, that's all well and good for me.
Mr. Chairman?
But I can't see.
Mr. Chairman?
Please.
Mr. Nigro?
Yes.
You just heard the council president say, any council member
Right,
is free to work on the budget.
correct.
I read things. Everybody up here reads things. We scrub things. We look at things. We ask questions. We constantly ask different department heads for information. I don't think there's got to be a clearinghouse for, well, should we give this one, and this one? No, because I may see something that Rashana doesn't see, or Jack may see something that
Right.
I don't see.
Right, I understand.
But when we get together and we put this, it's valuable. There was nothing wrong with a bunch of people working on things. Could it have been duplicative? What's wrong with being duplicative when you're researching, trying to find dollars? Everybody
Well,
has different ideas.
Exactly.
You know?
That's why I don't see. It's not like that. It's
We're not
not like
working
the
on
work
over-
yous were doing was costing the city any extra money.
We're not working on overtime. We didn't
Right.
charge anybody for 5.5 hours that we sat here, and it took some pats on the back, but for the most
took a
part.
lot of shots,
We
too.
took a lot of shots. But we're here, we wanted to be open. I think we wanted to get, I don't think it's ever been done before. But we sat here, we took a lot of notes, and that helped us in our process. So the reward for that, okay, was
Right.
the disbandment of the agreement. It doesn't mean we're going to stop working on it.
Oh, I
But
hope,
2.5
I hope not. I hope none of the council people stop
2.5 months
doing
worth
what
of
they're
work.
supposed to do
2.5
that way.
months worth of work in doing this. Our feet are in it. We're going to continue, and we're going to develop a product, hopefully, and hopefully, it's something that we could present. I'll leave that up to the people who I served with.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Yes.
Council President?
Sure, go ahead.
One thing I would like to suggest, if you're okay, and I suggested this last month, is so that we're not that he said this, she said that. One of the things that we did, I would like the public to know, is take minutes of the budget committee meeting. The idea was twofold. One, to let every council member know what's going on, to prevent what happened last year where everyone said, well, I didn't know. And the other thing is that last month I wanted to make the minutes public so the public can see what's going on and they're not caught off guard. And in regards to one of the things you said about shared service, I'm just going to summarize because this isn't public, but we had notes taken, and it was dated March 8th in regards to the shared service. To paraphrase what it says here, it says that Councilman XYZ, that a part of the Revenue Enhancement Committee would like to have a shared service roundtable formed to set up next Wednesday, which is tomorrow. And what we did is we expanded the towns we wanted to. And I can go into further detail, but two things happened. One is that in our meeting minutes, we clearly stated that we were inviting our mayor as well as the council president here. The next day, I called the mayor between 8 and 9 o'clock to invite him to bring him in. The idea wasn't to offset somebody or to do duplication. What we discussed there was basically was saying, all right, we need some revenue to come in. And the idea is, well, we're looking at Linden and we look at the amount of personnel we have, the infrastructure that we have, both in, if you want to say, roads and in trucks and buildings, and saying, can we make Linden basically a shared service hub for other municipalities? And the idea was to do a brainstorming to see, well, if we work with Rawway and this and Clark on this, is it possible? The next day, I'm hearing that, I'm not going to mention the person's name, but called the same representatives that confirmed that we're excited about this and told them, well, we didn't sanction this. All of a sudden, phone calls are being made that, what's going on here? And so that's an example of a roadblock where we were trying to bring in revenue. It wasn't political because I didn't reach out to these towns. It was from one office to another administration office. We were open. We asked the mayor to come, the council president to come. That's in the meeting minutes. But yet a roadblock was put. And I'll give you one example of how we can do shared services. And I mentioned this to the mayor in the same phone call, is that we have the 911 building and Councilwoman Michelle, she's on the fire committee, and this was a suggestion. And these are ideas that need to be generated. Where the firehouse, I think number 3, I'm being told is supposed to be, and police chief, if you can confirm or not, there's supposed to be enough space where they can train 911, or it's supposed to be a backup with 911. And we were saying, well, what about if we either, one, take on other towns and those towns give us the revenue to take on their 911 using this building, or talking to one of our freeholders, if we rent out that space to the county and the county takes over these things, again, we bring in the revenue. That's the kind of dialogue that we've had and we've been talking about. And with the permission of the council president, I would like these minutes that we had made public so that people can see the full picture and not just hear what's going on here.
Thank
I
you,
have
sir.
nothing to hide.
Mr. King, Eugene King.
But I just want to, Council President, are you okay with that? These minutes of the Budget Committee being made public? Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Bill Weber.
I'm Bill Weber. I'd like to make a few brief comments about the municipal judge matter. Read in the newspaper that you're attempting to appoint, or the council is attempting to appoint a replacement judge, somebody to replace Judge DeLeo. I was upset when I heard that. I think it's a poor idea. I hope and I ask the council to look closely at the facts carefully before you make any decision to appoint or confirm somebody different as a municipal judge. I would like to ask you to take into consideration 10 years of his excellent service here as a municipal judge. I think that's evidenced by the smooth operation of the court, has a good reputation. He's demonstrated his abilities to work well and manage the court staff smoothly. I think you should weigh carefully thousands of cases, judgments, and hearings he's conducted here in municipal courts, and I think even one of the councilmen here mentioned something like 100,000 cases over that 10-year period. I think that 10 years of service presents a really compelling and proven track record. I don't think you'd appoint a rookie to head up the police or fire department. I don't think you should do it here with the municipal court. Lou DeLeo will not require any on-the-job training. I've talked to a number of practicing attorneys in Union County. Among them all, Judge DeLeo has an outstanding reputation among the legal profession. He's regarded as fair, reasonable, and he treats people both inside and outside the court with respect and dignity. He's known for his professionalism, his ethical behavior, and his honesty. At a personal level, I think if you know him and have dealt with him, his respect for people is demonstrated by his willingness and ability to listen carefully to a wide variety of people. He has an open mind, and he's willing to take advice. The council, I recommend, should not resort to a lowest bidder approach for professional services of a municipal judge. Don't make the Linden municipal judge a Walmart commodity. If this cost reduction is really your big driving consideration here, then I think you should consider applying a lower bidder process first to leadership positions in other departments like police and fire. Those represent, I think, a much riper and a larger financial opportunity for cost reduction than just cherry-picking a municipal judge here. The municipal judge also should not be a quid pro quo reward for political support during someone's election campaign. I think the key considerations for a municipal judge are experience, a track record, independence, impartiality, and integrity. I think the council would pick, continuing with Judge DeLeo as a municipal judge here is in the best interest of the community and the citizens of Linden. Thank you.
Joe Lindsay.
Good evening, Council. Joe Lindsay, 326 Fernwood Terrace. I want to ask Chief Rizzo, how many firemen are eligible for retirement at this moment? Do you know roughly?
I don't know the exact. The number eligible to be 25 years.
Right.
I couldn't give you time.
Ballpark?
Ballpark.
Okay. I heard it was 30 or better. By a fireman, but I just wanted to hear from you people.
Ballpark, I was going to say 20.
Okay. And why I'm bringing that up is Derek mentioned Joe Sheehy retired, and just to give the guys hope, there's welcome back to this one guy, and I commend the council for voting unanimously on letting that individual come back, because I was laid off a lot of times over the last 15 years, like 6, 7 times, and I know how it feels to be in your seats. And for the other 5 guys, you have hope, because the governor's negotiating the contracts come this summer, April, and what happens in the state, it might affect like retirees, retired firemen. Maybe they'll have to, there's no longer a lifetime benefit. They might have to pay into the benefits. So that might initiate some guys to retire. So you have some hope, you know? And that's going on. The only downfall is this impact negotiations. Now, one came back. Now, you got to worry about this impact negotiation. But I would still have hope on the other end with the governor, because he's a good governor, and he's doing good things for the state of New Jersey. Moving on. Mayor, are they going to pave St. George Avenue? Do you know? I know it's a county road.
No, it's not a county road, it's a state road, Route
state
27, but they are going to pave it. As to when, maybe our city engineer, Mr. Verchek, could give you that information.
Oh.
There's no definite date. Preliminary plans came out last year, but they didn't give us any dates,
But
whether it's
Linden
this
is
year or
going to
next
get
year.
paved. Linden will get paved.
Yeah, along
Okay.
with Railway and
Because
Lisbon.
I heard the last time it was going to go up to Rawway and then stop to Route 27, the bridge down here in Avenel. It's going to come further to Linden, hopefully, because them roads are getting bad. Moving on, I want to ask Alexis, now, the latest number is $5 million, Alexis, that we're trying to find?
$5 million over the cap levy presently.
Okay, over the cap of 2%?
Yes.
Okay, so in that 5 million, pension and benefits aren't included with the 2% cap.
With the 2% cap, they are excluded. They're part of the exclusions.
So how much out of that 5 million, like if we eliminate the pension and
No,
benefits?
that's once we do the cap levy workbook, that's the 5 million is once the cap calculation's been done.
So we're still 5 million?
Yes, sir.
So we're in deep trouble, like someone mentioned tonight. Now, the assessments, we gave back a lot of money on assessments, and it seems like a lot more than the norm, and Pat Hero brought that up. Where does that show on the budget? Where does that come out of, on your pie?
We presently have a reserve for tax appeals, and we have reserve funds that comes out of.
Are we past
presently.
that reserve
I believe
this
there's
year?
135 appeals, and
I mean, is the number pretty high?
yes,
that-
it's much increased over the last 3 years.
And we have the money in there? We didn't extend that reserve?
Yes, we have sufficient funds.
Okay, so that was all budgeted?
Yes.
Okay. One other thing I'm going to mention, like, I don't see the politics going on here as a citizen. I'm just worried about my tax dollar getting lowered. What's going on back there? I hope everybody blew off steam tonight to get it all off their chests. You have independents, you have Democrats, you have Republicans. I campaigned against Mr. Brown. It wasn't pretty, you know, because I have my reasons to campaign for Joe Hrbanic, and he has his reasons. When he knocked on the door, he spoke his piece, and we spoke our piece. He came out victorious. Now, I have to be on his team, because he's on the other side, and I have to live with that. Now, there was a vote on Judge DeLeo. I didn't like how that vote came out, 6-5. I didn't come to the podium because I thought it wasn't in my place, because I didn't have enough, I wasn't educated enough on that. But there was people that came up and spoke, and there was different views from both sides, and the vote went down 6-5. We have to live with that. Now, tonight comes a proposal. Now, I don't know if it could get reintroduced. That could be the next meeting. But there was a proposal to save $32,000. That's my tax dollars. Whether it was legit or not, it went down legitimately, and now we didn't save $32,000 because I don't know if it was political. You know, that was a political move to me on that vote. You know, so we could have saved $32,000 tonight just on that one issue, and then dealt with that. You wanted to table it. I wish it did get tabled, because now I don't know if it could get reintroduced. But so can Danny. Danny could get reintroduced too, and we could have another vote. And then the people could come up and speak their piece. And one other thing, like, you people voted for that. I don't like that vote. Now, whoever's running, maybe this year or next year, I could go knock on doors and say, this gentleman or this lady voted to spend an extra $78,000 on this one issue. Now, it's up to that citizen to vote yes or no on that candidate. And if they vote that candidate back in, then it's on the people. And that's how it goes. That's how government works, in my view. You know, so it's not partial. I hope everybody's to wash their hands. We shook hands, and now we're on the same page. All right, thank you very much.
Patty Morrow. Margot.
Council President, can I make one comment?
Please.
In regards to this $32,000 vote, I'm a little confused because if Judge DeLeo wants to give back $32,000, there's no need for this governing body to vote on it. Let him give it back.
Can I say something real quick?
Brief, come on,
Yeah.
brief.
Mayor, I just know personally, when I took my pay cut, like I have a pay cut of 10%, I think they even question whether you need a resolution for that. So I'll just ask Alan or one of the other attorneys if we need a resolution. I mean, you may be right. And so, Alan, do we need a resolution in order for him to do it?
I suggest he gives back $78,000. That's what we would have saved with my candidate, if he's so cost-conscious.
Ms. Morrow. Ms. Morrow.
Patty Murgo, 2519
Murgo.
Greer Avenue.
I apologize.
Mr. Lindsay took what I wanted to say. Thank you. Next time I'm going to go, I'm not going to put your name on. Nick Nigro also took what I wanted to say, but there are a couple points that, I want to say thank you to the three gentlemen that spent here that night with the town hall meeting and spent 3-4 hours here discussing the budget. I did learn a lot, and I did not like what I had to hear when it was said to me, or said in general, that there was a possibility that we may have to pay for trash pickup because eventually we're going to run out of funds. And to me, I believe I had mentioned we have a problem with the ratables, because if you don't have ratables, we're gonna have to start paying for more additional things to come unless we get ratables in here, which you gentlemen, all three of you had agreed and understood. But again, Mr. Moore, I'm not understanding why you disbanded in March the ad hoc committee for budget. They worked January, February, and part of March on the budget. They only had to go another month, 4 weeks, and at least let them show what they had, what they came up with, and then say, well, you guys didn't deliver, or you guys did a good job, you delivered it, thank you. But you're not doing that. And you just said no more. And I'm not understanding why. If they're digging and they're stepping on people's toes, that's what they're supposed to do for a budget. So what happened?
They didn't work within the governmental system. We have a committee system, and they ran rogue, and it got to be disruptive in City Hall, and it couldn't be tolerated anymore.
Okay, I gotta ask this definition, please, of rogue. I'm not understanding, where did you just go?
Well, they were granted a specific assignment, and they changed their assignment.
They changed their assignment from trying to find how much, to try to save us money.
To bring the information to the Finance and Personnel Committee to keep it an organized governmental process, committee process.
I thought we did.
We got penalized for doing our job.
Okay.
You always have the opportunity for input into the
Okay.
budget, and we're going
All
to
right.
use what you have so far.
I have a question for Alexis. I had put in for an Oprah request, Alexis, and I believe I get the information from you on the salaries and benefits of council, correct?
Correct.
You're the one who sent that down to
Yes,
me,
we did.
correct? Thank you, I appreciate it. And I thank all council for doing their job of not taking the benefits. But again, Mr. Moore, my question is going to be to you now. In the May campaign, you stated, when we were campaigning, that you were not going to take a salary. But according to this, unless Alexis is incorrect, you're taking a salary. Is that true or not true?
That's true. I changed my mind.
Okay. Thank you.
George Alvarez?
George Alvarez, 318 East Curtis Street. I'm representing Linden Youth Soccer Association.
Please.
Really, I'm not here, and I want to make it very clear that I'm not against Pop Warner. Okay? I believe in the kids, and there's no one that can stand against me and say otherwise. Anytime you can find some type of thing to do for the kids, maybe sports or extra educational facilities or whatever it is, I will be there to help. But I'm an advocate on equality. Now, my question is, where's my money? You have 350 kids? Beautiful. We have about 800 kids. We're all volunteers, okay? And I did come and I approached, had a meeting with the mayor. When we had a meeting with the mayor and Mr. McDonald, the first word says, we'll give you any help, just don't ask for money. We understood. We understand what you guys are going through, or basically what we're going through, okay? But equality is equality. And so you made a statement to Pop Warner, which I think is great what they're doing, okay? But they're getting money. What about soccer, basketball, baseball? There's a difference here?
I'm going to suggest to the Finance Committee that they cut the junkets to Atlantic City during the League of Municipality and use that money for that. We have $5,000 budget.
And use the money for what?
For the
Pop Warner? That would be fine, that would be great. Where's my money?
Are you personally receiving money?
No. I have all the parents, okay, they pay for their kids. We fundraise, we have a lot of different things in order to raise money. And in case you don't know who we are, when you guys cancel Halloween, we were the ones who threw it. We were the ones who held Halloween, not you, okay? And we didn't charge. And it wasn't for, I know, you weren't here. I love that, okay? And it wasn't for our kids. It was for Linden kids, okay? We were there, sir. Again, where's my money? No answers, right? I want equality. When I say I, I'm talking about a lot of kids. It is not fair to give it to one group. And let me tell you, Pop Warner is great. Keep the kids off the street, teamwork, which is something obviously none of you guys know, all right? But keep him going, all right? But the thing is...
That's a real consideration to give to no one, possibly.
Sure, okay. I work with kids, all right? I understand. I am a big kid. I know what they want. I know what they need, okay? But equality comes first. Something that has been fought in this country for many years, all right? That's one. Two, I saw what happened here today. Are you guys serious? Because I'm scared, okay? I am very scared. And what I'm going to tell you, like I told you, my parents, we raise money. We don't ask money from you guys. Next meeting, I'm getting outside selling tickets, because this is great. You guys really entertained me today. No, really. I would like to know. No. Okay, I would like to know, what the hell are you doing? Okay, Mr. Frazier, I love what you said there. Okay, teamwork, work together. Okay, does anybody here know what this country was founded on? Was compromising. Okay, go back to the beginning. See what was done here. Not Linden, the country itself. Okay, there had to be compromising. What about working together, putting your egos aside, and start talking to each other? All right? We suffer. This is a tug of war. You pull this way, you pull this way, they pull that way. And who's losing? We are. Yeah, we need things, we need ratables. Times are hard, We all go through that and we're all suffering. But who do we run? We run to you. Sir, I want to thank you. Okay, I want to thank you a lot for beating me. Because if I was there, I would be throwing punches. Thank you, sir.
Patricia Anderson.
Patricia Anderson, 708 Beechwood Road.
Anderson.
I'm last, so I'm going to keep this brief. First, I just wanted to thank Councilman Koziel. Oh, I'm sorry. First, I wanted to thank Councilman Koziel, Councilman Brown, and Councilman Pujol for all your hard work. I think your efforts are in the right places. Councilman Moore, President Moore, I have to tell you, by you disbanding this committee, in my opinion, it looks bad. It looks like perhaps they were finding things that maybe you didn't, or somebody didn't want to be found, only because you decided to wait until March to disband this committee. Whether or not that's true, I hope it's not. I really do. I have to tell you, as far as your behavior tonight, you should all be ashamed, not all of you, but the raising of the voices, the yelling, the pointing the fingers, you should be holding yourself at higher standards. You are to represent us. People who are turning on Channel 36 and watching this, you made fools of ourselves. Not all of you. Not all of you, thank you, not all of you. But the ones raising your voice, Mayor, I have to tell you, you are our leader. You are supposed to be holding yourself at even a higher standard. Control your temper. Try to hold back. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing as a citizen of Linden. I was raised here. My parents were raised here. My son is one of the laid off firefighters here, which brings me to another point. And I know I'm not going to make any friends with you, Mayor, tonight. However, I think it was very, very nice of you to congratulate those two wonderful, fine, brave men of the police department who were promoted. However, you did not even say a word to our firefighter who, in a heartbeat, would be at anybody's house, risking his life to save a cat. I hope that was just an oversight on your part. And if it was, I would appreciate that you acknowledge him this evening, because you're our leader, not just of the police department, but of the citizens, of the councilmen, and of the fire department. And whether or not you like them or not, again, hold yourself to a higher standard. Acknowledge these young men. It's not right.
You're making accusations which are not true. I did not acknowledge them. It was an oversight.
Okay, well then.
And I acknowledge firefighter Sheehy for retiring.
Yes.
So
Yes,
that
you did.
firefighter Stanley can come back on the job.
Yes, you did.
Again, you can't remember everything when you're up at a dais. Sometimes you do forget things.
Okay.
And
I
I'm
un-
not perfect in that regard.
I understand that. But now's an opportunity to remedy that. He's right there. Congratulate him.
I just did. What do you want me to do?
You did not. I want you, no, you did not congratulate that young man. You congratulated firefighter Sheehy for giving up his position for.
And I welcome him back to the city of Linden.
I didn't hear you say that, though. No, excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me. You know what? You can moan all you want. However.
You have the
listen.
floor.
However, if your house was on fire, no, my 5 minutes is not up, young. If your house was on fire, he would be there in a moment, and then you would be, you can mimic me all you want, I don't care. So I'm just saying that I just feel that you should be a mayor to all and not just to some. Thank you.
Thank you.
Maybe you didn't read my penmanship, but I did sign the book to speak. All right? 1 minute.
Your name, sir?
I have one thing to say to Mr. Sheehy.
I'm
Channel-
sorry, sir, your name? My name.
Oh, John Roman, 716 Summit Street. I have one thing to say to Mr. Sheehy. Channel 36, that's entertainment, okay? I'd like to say congratulations to the new council members here. I hope you can hear me because some people hear and don't get it. I would like to congratulate the new members of council and let them know that even though democracy doesn't seem to work from time to time, together democracy does work. It's a dictatorship that has proved in the past and in the present that it doesn't work. But yet everyone follows without question and then in the end says, how could we have let this go on for so long? And the ones who do speak out or criticize are singled out and pressured to keep quiet. Only through hard work and dedication can the city of Linden work, not by patronizing city officials so some could keep their high-paying jobs, and by passing around petitions or putting people out of work. Also by the appointments of the Friends and Family Plan. Can someone sit and expect to get something for nothing or do nothing, only because he or she is a friend of someone who sits on high, or coached a pee-wee baseball team and treated it like his own little courtroom. I've lived and loved in Linden all of my life. I've seen them come, I've seen them go. With that said, there are people in this great city who care and who have and continue to do a great job every day for the city of Linden. One of them is Louis DeLeo. Thank you.
The following council meetings will be as follows. Council conference meeting Monday, April 18, 2011, 6 p.m. in the council conference room, City Hall, 3001 Northwood Avenue. Council conference meeting prior to the council meeting Tuesday, April 18, 2011, 6 p.m. in the council conference room, City Hall, 301 Northwood Avenue. Council meeting Tuesday, April 19, 2011 at 7 p.m. in the council chambers, City Hall, 301 Wood Avenue. I ask for a motion for adjournment.
Coming up today, too. All right.
Ask for a motion for adjournment.
So moved, Mr. President.
Ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Clerk?
Mr.
walk
Purcell.
home
Yes. Frazier. Yamakaitis.
Yes.
Sheehy. Sadowski. Crosby Hurling. Armstead. Yes. Brown. Kozio. Colvin.
Yes.
Mr. Moore.
Yes.
You should say no.
Oh, you were? No, I agree. It's good to disagree. No, it's, yeah, you're